DutchFarms.com.
Happy New Year from Dutch Farms. Since 1987, Dutch Farms has been offering cheese, eggs, and hundreds of other dairy items to local grocery stores throughout Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. Our goal is to bring the highest quality dairy items to you and your family at unsurpassed value. Dutch Farms is a 3-generation, local, family-owned business. Much of Dutch Farms' success can be directly attributed to our ongoing commitment to faith and family, to community, and to honoring the traditions of our Dutch heritage. Now, more than ever, we're prepared to carry on our long-standing promise to our customers, partners, team members, and neighbors. As we turn the page on 2023, Dutch Farms would like to wish the AM 560 listeners health and happiness in the new year. Please visit DutchFarms.com to learn more about the #1 dairy brand in all of Chicagoland, Dutch Farms.
When you need to ship sensitive or large and heavy equipment, the DC Group in Elk Grove has the experience and expertise to handle the biggest and most complicated jobs. DC Export and Domestic Packing Inc. was founded in 1974 by the husband and wife team of Dominic and Carol Cacciamiglio. Beginning in a building not much bigger than a 4-car garage, the company now boasts 2 Chicago area facilities totaling 100,000 square feet, plus a 45,000 square foot FTZ warehouse in Greenville, South Carolina. Through these facilities and their long-standing agents, they offer nationwide packing, crating, container, and flat rack loading unloading, as well as warehousing, all with heavy lift capabilities. Other products available include custom-made boxes, crates, skids, and corrosion control solutions. DC Transport was founded in 1991 to meet the growing needs of their customers and provide transportation services throughout North America. From container drayage to super heavy haul loads, DC Transport can help you move just about anything. Go to dcexport.com for more info and to get in touch. dcexport.com.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The golden years of retirement should be an exciting time if you have a solid plan. Wealth Management Group can help you sort out the financial confusion of retirement, legacy, and estate planning. Craig Bolanos and his team have curated a 2-part webinar series covering the key components of constructing a solid legacy and estate plan. Put your legacy on the right path. Go to Invest with WMG and click on the Webinars tab. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Wealth Management Group, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
Hi, it's Scott Tucker, host of Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker, heard on AM 560 on Sundays at 8 a.m. and again at 5 p.m. I want to offer you a free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? To get your free copy of my latest book, Escape Illinois, Should I Stay or Should I Go? Just go to retirementdakota.com. That's retirementdakota.com. And please listen every Sunday at 8 a.m. and again at 5 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So last night in New Hampshire went about as expected. In fact, again, for those of you who are inclined to dismiss polling out of hand, can't believe anything you hear from pollsters. Basically, the 13-point spread that Trump won New Hampshire with was within the margin of error of the Real Clear Politics polling average. Yep. So it was as anticipated. The only thing that may have been a little unanticipated was Nikki Haley declaring victory.
Well, she's not giving
last
up.
night.
Yeah.
Congratulate Donald Trump on his victory tonight. He earned it, and I want to acknowledge that. Now, you've all heard the chatter among the political class. They're falling all over themselves, saying this race is over.
It's not over. It is over.
Well, I have news for all of them. New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation. This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go. And the next one is my sweet state of South Carolina.
Yeah, right. Where I'm down 30 points.
But I was once governor, and they love me, and that's my home state. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. Yeah, it was anything but a concession speech. I mean, it was a victory speech in her mind. She's just not going to give up, and she thought, but what, maybe she did well with, she did what the poll said she was going to do. She didn't beat Trump, but she's not going to give up because there's more states out there, Dan. Did you know that?
Trump responded to her attempting to recast what happened last night as more indication of momentum she's enjoying. Here was Trump opening up his remarks.
Today, I have to tell you, it was very interesting because I said, wow, what a great victory. But then somebody ran up to the stage all dressed up nicely when it was at 7. But now I just walked up and it's at 14. But she ran up when it was 7. And, you know, we have to do what's good for our party. And she was up and I said, wow, she's doing like a speech like she won. She didn't win, she lost. And, you know, last week we had a little bit of a problem. And if you remember, Ron was very upset because she ran up and she pretended she won Iowa. And I looked around, I said, didn't she come in third? Yeah, she came in third. And then I looked at the polls. She was talking about most winnability, who's going to win. And I had one put up. I don't know if you see it, but I have one put up. We've won almost every single poll in the last 3 months against crooked Joe Biden. Almost every poll. And she doesn't win those polls. And she doesn't win those. This is not your typical victory speech, but let's not have somebody take a victory when she had a very bad night. She had a very bad night.
There's something to what he said that I just want to emphasize, because the handle is that Haley is a better matchup in the general election because she defeats Biden by a wider margin.
Yes,
yeah, there was a Wall Street Journal poll that said that. But if you look at the Real Clear Politics averages in the Trump and DeSantis and Haley versus Biden, it's actually Trump who has the best margin, and it's a slight one. Nobody's saying that anybody's going to circle they're going to lap the field at this point. They're going to lap Biden, even if he's standing still. Trump is plus 3 points. Haley's plus a point. DeSantis was tied. If you look at the Real Clear Politics polling averages of those matchups. So I know this is a fashionable opinion to have, that Nikki Haley, because of that splash of that one Wall Street Journal poll, will definitely defeat Biden and by a wide margin, whereas Trump, we're not sure if he can win. Well, that's not what the data says. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
One thing about last night, though, Trump, he would not stop bashing Nikki Haley. I mean, bash Biden. I mean, it got to the point where I almost turned off the TV.
I find in life you can't let people get away with bullshit, okay? You can't. You just can't do that. And when I watched her in the fancy dress that probably wasn't so fancy, come up. I said, "What's she doing? We won."
He said it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, after last night, I mean, if you want to pile on a bit, it's understandable, if not advisable. But after last night, the posture Trump should take is to generally ignore Nikki Haley.
Right.
Because this is not a race. It really never was much of a race. And now that people are voting, oh, that's just what the polls say. Wait, not a ballot has been cast. Okay, well, now some ballots have been cast, and some more are going to be cast in the next 6 weeks. And the numbers suggest that they're going to even make this more obvious than Iowa and New Hampshire have made this. So if I'm Trump, you know, you're right. Focus on, enjoy the number of people coming over to back Trump now, including people that are not necessarily huge Trump fans. They didn't get along with great. For example, John Cornyn, the senator in Texas. He's a very established Republican senator, said, I've seen enough. It's time to rally around Trump. There's going to be a lot more of that happening. Enjoy the rallying around. Foment more consolidation of support. Focus on Biden and what they're doing. Address some of these issues, think strategically about the sequencing of the kind of campaign that you want to run over the next several months into the conventions, and then obviously down the stretch, assemble the necessary staff. You know, take this opportunity to focus on you and what you're doing and what you're organizing, and don't get baited by somebody who is on essentially a bit of a vision quest right now. Leave her to her own devices in South Carolina, and however long she wants to go on with this, however long the corporatist money will float her.
I mean, she got under his skin yesterday. She was living rent-free in his head at that rally, I thought.
Let's not exaggerate.
No, I watched the whole thing from the beginning to the end, and I thought,
you can watch it from
Biden.
the beginning to the end, and it's
that's
still not exaggeration.
Leave her alone. Well, I
what does Trump do? What does Trump do?
Yeah, that's what his shtick is. I understand that, but
yes.
He beat her. He wanted to talk about her dress, and as a woman, when I saw it, he kept harping on it, and I thought, just leave it alone. You beat her soundly. Talk about Biden and how he has accomplished nothing, and remind the American people what life was like when you were in charge.
You know, there's a couple of things too. I would say. I mean, first of all, the Haley thing. I mean, does anybody believe this is going anywhere? You look at, even CNN had this, you look at the composition of the voters for Trump versus for Haley. 70% of Haley voters last night in New Hampshire were undeclared, as opposed to 70% of Trump voters who were declared Republicans. I mean, you had interview after interview on CNN and MSNBC like this. Here's CNN.
Nikki Haley.
And why did you vote for Nikki Haley?
It's a vote against Trump. I think it would be better to have her against Biden in the elections than it would be Trump and her.
Do you consider yourself generally independent, Republican, or Democrat?
Democrat.
So when you undeclared, you voted for Nikki Haley. If it was Nikki Haley against Joe Biden in the general election, who are you voting for?
Joe Biden.
Oh.
Right.
Right.
So
and that's how she got a lot of votes in Iowa, too, from independents.
It was Democrats and never Trumpers. It was Democrats and Bill Kristol and David French. I mean, that's the profile of the Nikki Haley voter for the most part last night in New Hampshire. And I'm sorry, that doesn't come within a stone's throw in states like South Carolina and Florida and so on and so forth.
312-642-5600. Grab a line.
Mark, Southside.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Last night, Haley's speech was so contradicting. You're playing clips right now. The majority of people that voted for her are going to vote Democratic in the general election. With that being said, she's emphasizing last night that Donald Trump is the only Republican the Democrats can beat. With that being said, then, the same people that voted for her last night that are going to vote Democratic, why wouldn't they help Trump to get him across the finish line if he's the only one that the Democrats can beat? It makes no sense. It's contradicting.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mark. One thing I would say about Trump, I mean, you don't prematurely celebrate the victory in November. There are a lot of complications along the way, including how people would receive Trump being convicted in any of the trials that may or may not happen before the election, which is why it's so important that they get pushed off. For example, there was polling you may have saw last night if you were watching the coverage that suggested that among Republican caucus goers and a primary voter in Iowa, primary voters in New Hampshire, a third in Iowa said a criminal conviction would disqualify him from being president. It was 50-50 in New Hampshire. Now, for example, in Iowa, a third of self-identified Republicans saying that could be a problem. I mean, you have to look at the way the question is asked. People are inclined to say criminal conviction that would disqualify. Maybe people don't have an appreciation for what he could be convicted of and all the details that would come out in these trials. There's all sorts of variables to that question. So I'm not taking those numbers as fatal in any way. But I am saying that development, a conviction in one of these trials that, of course, are in jurisdictions pulling jury pools together that are going to be largely antagonistic to Trump, that is a potential complication down the road, and it shouldn't be ignored. This is why I say now is the time to take advantage of really thinking through legal strategy and political legal strategy as those trials wind their way through the courts or to potentially a jury over the next several months. We'll take more of your calls on last night and the overall presidential landscape at 5:38.
Yeah, but now let's head into that newsroom. Big fog bowl here today. Here's Mike Scott.
5:30 on AM 560, The Answer, and we're following several breaking stories this morning. Russia says a military transport plane that was carrying 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war has crashed in the Russian region near Ukraine. The governor of Belgorod saying all on board were killed. As aftershocks continue to rock western China this morning, more than 12,000 people are now staying in tents. Previous day, a magnitude 7.1 earthquake shook that remote part of China near Kazakhstan. Nearby, the death toll from a landslide in a mountainous portion of China rose to 34. The U.S. military has hit 3 facilities in Iraq, and 2 anti-ship missiles in Yemen were sent into that country within hours of each other at its continued effort to keep violence from the Israel-Hamas war from spilling over into a wider conflict.
Yesterday, the militaries of the United States and United Kingdom conducted an additional round of strikes against Houthi targets in Yemen.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby. With a win in Iowa now in the rearview mirror, former President Donald Trump has come out on top in the New Hampshire primary.
And just a little note to Nikki. She's not going to win. She's not going to win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by those people in 15 minutes.
Donald Trump defeating the former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley with more than 54% of the vote. GOP presidential hopeful Haley says she's not backing out now.
And now we're the last one standing next to Donald Trump. And today we got close to half of the vote. We still have a ways to go, but we keep moving up.
Meantime, President Biden is making abortion rights a key issue in his 2024 re-election campaign.
The person who doesn't have a clue about the power of women in America is Donald Trump. Well, I promise you in 2024, he's going to find out about the power of y'all.
The president on the stump at a campaign event in Manassas, Virginia. 5 are dead, reportedly found with gunshot wounds in a small community in California's San Bernardino County overnight. The LA Times newspaper is announcing mass layoffs as it cuts about a quarter of its staff. Paper's owner says it's losing between $30 and $40 million a year. Here in the Chicago area, fog is causing travel issues on the roads this morning. We're checking in on the airports. A dense fog advisory is up until 10 a.m. A man suspected of shooting and killing 8 near Joliet over the weekend was apparently related to most of the victims, authorities said on Tuesday, a day after the 23-year-old fatally shot himself during a confrontation with law enforcement in Texas.
They gave chase to him. He rounded the corner around the gas station and decided to take his life.
Joliet police and the Will County Sheriff's Office say investigators believe Romeo Nance shot 7, most of whom were relatives at 2 homes in Joliet Sunday, before randomly shooting 2 men at other nearby locations.
Yeah, we can't get inside his head. We just don't have any clue as to why he did what he did.
The Joliet police chief saying Nance died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound on Monday night while making a break for the Mexican border. The Blackhawks take on Seattle tonight. The Bulls gearing up for the Lakers. Big Ten basketball tonight. Northwestern will try for the upset against number 11 Illinois at Welsh Ryan. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. Their team of veteran consultants know how to reduce costs and grow new revenue streams, all without having to hire on-site professionals. Turnkey has solutions for your business. Visit turnkey.pro. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher believes Americans have had it.
The Fulton County District Attorney, who is persecuting Trump for election integrity, and she is evidently up to her eyeballs in a massive personal scandal. Americans are not going to stand for this kind of obscenity.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's a new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if one of your New Year's resolutions was to do more to help others, then we want to let you know that you still have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of children in Latin America and the Caribbean through Food for the Poor. Your donation of just $80 provides food for an entire year for 2 children. That's life-changing. Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Food for the Poor is a faith-based organization that works with partners on the ground to make sure these children are fed. You know, we talk a lot about the root causes of our immigration crisis, and one of those causes is the situation in many of these countries. This is your chance to help take care of others. To make a donation of any amount, just visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. Thanks again for your generosity.
Is your local delivery provider unreliable? Do your same-day deliveries never get there the same day? Or has your delivery service left you out in the cold this winter? Then you need to know about the Delivery Authority. We are exceptional people that deliver flawless service. We are a logistics company based in Naperville that specializes in same-day, next-day, and final mile deliveries. At the Delivery Authority, our account managers own the entire delivery process, from the pickup to final delivery, with real-time tracking that helps assure that your freight gets there safely, in good condition, and on time. And although we are a local company, our delivery footprint extends throughout the Midwest. So if you need a trusted local partner who can provide customized delivery solutions, on-time delivery performance, and hands-on customer service, then you need to call the Delivery Authority. Call us now at 630-893-7100. That's 630-893-7100. Or visit us online at thedeliveryauthority.com. That's thedeliveryauthority.com.
Calling all firearm owners, enthusiasts, and Second Amendment patriots. Both experienced and novice customers are cordially invited to visit MOA Industries in Bensenville. MOA Industries is a Class 7 firearms dealer providing a myriad of services, including firearm sales, gunsmithing, certified Cerakote application, laser engraving, firearms instruction on a private range, firearms transfers for only $40, and discounts for veterans and first responders. With a large selection of firearms, customization services, and CCL license classes and renewals, MOA Industries strives to be your one-stop shop for all your firearms needs. Visit MOAindustries.com today. Your Second Amendment needs are the first priority. No high-pressure salesmen, just friendly, relaxed professionals dedicated to providing the best service possible. MOA Industries is located in nearby Bensenville. Ready to pull the trigger? Call 630-766-7593. That's 630-766-7593. Or visit online at MOAindustries.com. That's MOAindustries.com. MOAindustries.com.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
It's 5:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Right now, the roads are doing pretty well, even though visibility is down significantly because of the early morning fog and the dense fog advisory. Inbound Kennedy at 20 minutes into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike already at 27 into the old post office. And the Stevenson at 30 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, rain mainly early this morning, and that will take care of some of the fog. However, use caution out there with that dense fog. A high near 40. Low clouds and fog overnight again, low 36. Fog and 34 right now at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We were talking about last night's Trump victory in New Hampshire and what it means for the rest of the presidential primary campaign, to the extent there is one, which there basically isn't. And that's despite the fact that Nikki Haley says she's going to press on to South Carolina, and there are dozens more states out there. Yeah, at least. We've only had 2 elections. There's at least a couple of dozen. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I'm still struck by those keen observers in the D.C. press corps that don't appreciate the dynamic in the Republican presidential primary. I mean, I can understand a desire to see someone other than Trump, but I can't understand this Wall Street Journal editorial about what happened last night. And the Wall Street Journal editorial board is, generally considerably more sane than just about any other editorial board of a major daily in the country. Definitely leans right. They write, I shouldn't say they, the editorial board, write about the criticisms that Trump made of Haley after last night, going up on stage and seeming to sort of concede defeat while declaring victory and moving on, and we've got the momentum, and then having, he criticizing her dress and surrogates on cable TV, torturing her, and so on and so forth. The Wall Street Journal writes, they, meaning Trump world, must be worried that she is telling the truth about Mr. Trump's political vulnerabilities. Have you not seen Trump's act before? You thought the personal slights in the direction of Nikki Haley is a sign of concern? They go on to say things that are even more incredible. Like, this has just become a one-on-one race. And she won 62% of voters in the last few days as the field consolidated. She won 60% of independents, and the Wall Street Journal argues, well, who do you think is going to decide the election in November? Very myopic understanding of the electorate and motivations. And then they go on, Haley, to make it a race, as if this is possible, Haley will have to toughen and expand her message, make a harder case against Trump, focus her vision on what she would present a more focused vision on what she would do as president. When she talks about generational change, what exactly does that mean? Maybe she needs to pick up an issue like school choice and run with it. I mean, you think that's going to turn the tide in this race? Nikki Haley starts coming out and talking about school choice and parents' rights?
Yeah, it's a little too late. 312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro answer line. Our text line's up and running. 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
It's not only late, it just fundamentally misunderstands what's happening. The Trump phenomenon is a movement. Nikki Haley is an off-the-shelf GOP establishment candidate. I mean, she's Jeb Bush in a dress, but less conservative reform. So it's 8 years, and the Wall Street Journal editorial board still doesn't get it. I'm a little surprised by that. I mean, this is where like your hope is blinding you to the reality.
Right.
That's the only thing only way I can explain this, and I think that's the case with a lot of Wall Street Journal readers who are in the donor class too.
Yeah, they're in Trump denial. They have the deranged syndrome, and then they're in denial. Like, no, that's not going to happen again. And oh no, it's happening. Wake up, it's here.
Yeah, here's an idea for those who are despondent over the Trump-Biden rematch on the Republican side, or on the side that doesn't want to see a second Biden term. Here's an idea.
What?
How about lean into Trump? How about lean into him? We're going to have the same conversation a little bit later on the show when we talk about Amy's Hawkeye buddy, Carrie Lake. Hey, here's an idea. How about lean into candidates that are surfing on this popular revolt that is bubbling below the surface? How about helping them to stoke that revolt rather than trying to work with the Combine swamp set in repressing the revolt?
Well, do it, Congressman Dean Phillips. I mean, he's a Democrat from Minnesota, ran against Biden yesterday in New Hampshire. When you think about it, Biden had more competition with Mary Williams and Dean Phillips Williamson than Trump did. But he leaned into it. He was on CNN and he went to a Trump rally to try and figure out who the Trumpians are.
Trump rally a couple nights ago. Never been to one. I had an event across the street. I saw the line of people waiting in the cold for hours. And I thought, what the heck? I'm going to be a leader who actually invites people, doesn't condemn them. Met probably 50 Trump people waiting in line. Every single one of them, thoughtful, hospitable, friendly. All of them so frustrated that they feel nobody's listening to them but Donald Trump. A diverse crowd, people who had never been to a Trump event before. My party is completely delusional right now.
And last night, 1 in 5 Democrats voted for Dean Phillips. I mean, Biden won by 50% to his 20%, but that's more than the polls suggested.
I'm not surprised Dean Phillips was welcomed at a Trump rally, more so than maybe in his own party, because he's Jewish. Kevin in Austin, Texas.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. Trump said one thing when he did his congratulations speech, or whatever you want to call it. He talked about he has to do what's good for the GOP or good for the party. Resources that are going to be sent to support Nikki Haley could be used in other ways to develop get-out-the-vote operations for November and actually build the party up so lower down-ticket races can win. And I think that's where those resources should be sent. It's a vanity project right now for anybody who wants to throw money to Nikki Haley and support her. It's a futile thing. It's like standing at Lake Michigan when an 8-foot wave is coming towards you and thinking you're going to stop it from coming at you. Turn around.
Thanks for the call, Kevin. Appreciate it. Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, although I don't agree with this, I think the two things people should understand why she's still in it, Haley, is number one, when you look at Iowa and New Hampshire, last time Bernie Sanders won those, and he lost the primary. Also, I think that Haley's hanging on to a dream. I think Haley's hanging on to a dream that the courts are going to take Trump out. So if she stays in it, and she's number 2, especially before the convention, she's in a good position to get the nomination. I don't agree with it, but I think that's the two plausible explanations on why she's still in it.
Thanks for the call, Joe. Well, here's the problem. I mean, if that's her strategy, that Hail Mary strategy, if the Supreme Courts decide that all these states can remove Trump from the ballot, many won't do it anyway. Many have already decided they're not going to do it. I mean, I suppose they could revisit it. But she's going to run out of money well before that transpires. So it's just not realistic. You can't sort of lose your way to the presidency. And, if something were to, if Trump is cemented in as the nominee and something were to happen, just like we've talked about with Biden, well, I mean, then it's a party pick. And so she would have as much chance now being out of the race as she would then being in the race, titularly in the race.
Right, but can't DeSantis get back in because they suspended their campaign? So if something were to happen to Trump, they could all get back in, right?
That's true. That's true.
Why they don't fall out.
But I mean, but if something were to happen to Trump and he's the nominee, well, I guess if it happens between now and when you've officially amassed enough of the delegates to be to cement the nomination, yes, right. That then I guess you would have some sort of restart. But I mean, there's no way that you can credibly say we need to stay in because of these, lottery ticket like possibilities. That's not the basis to stay in a race and embarrass yourself and get crushed and, fritter away tens of millions of dollars. That just makes no sense. That's not a strategy. Greg in Schaumburg.
Morning, Dan and Amy. Do you remember when Sean Dunston was on the Cubs and there was the Shawnometer in center field that was held up and focused on TV? Mm-hmm. You two are my meters. The Danometer is always going to come on after. I always try to listen to you to see what the general sense is. And the Danometer is always going to be imprecise language, petty, and crass. And the Amyometer is going to be all of that plus the women's sensitivities issues. And thus, I deduce within the first 2 or 3 minutes, did Trump have a winning night or not have a winning night? And based on what I've heard today, he did not have a winning night because both of the two meters here are off the wall in terms of criticism of him. And there is one solution to all of this that I wish somebody would get to him on, and that is to recognize the servant leadership aspect that is so apparent and endemic to the Trump brand, always trying to serve the customer, but to do it within a calm, reasonable, very sensitive to emotion-like manner that will register with voters and get over the crassness and all of the stuff that you guys are justifiably putting on the board. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Well, I mean, first, of course I take umbrage at the fact that I'm not sensitive to women's sensitivities because that just couldn't be further from the truth.
Oh, wait till you see what's coming, partner.
I
surprise for you later.
I'm a little afraid to show my feminine side sometimes.
Oh, really?
It frightens me, but it's there.
You do wear pink sometimes too. I think you're wearing pink today. Is that pink?
No, this is red, white, and blue.
Oh, Marca.
The patriotic colors.
Yes.
It's our flag's colors.
Oh, it is? Thank
you,
Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that.
But I haven't been critical about Trump so much. I mean, yes, I'm just saying what he should do now is ignore Haley. I think actually over the course of the last several months, he's been pretty good. And he was very gracious when DeSantis dropped out before last night's primary election and so forth. So, no, I think he's actually been, better than he has been in periods previously.
He had his former challengers on stage with him, and he actually let him speak. Tim Scott, Vivek. I mean,
yeah, right.
Trump from later years would have never have done that, given them any airtime.
That's what I'm saying. So more of that. I'm saying here's this opportunity if he can avoid getting going off on these tangents, an opportunity, and he should take advantage of it because this is not a fait accompli in November, and I'm not suggesting he's treating it as such, but there's a lot of work to do that I don't have the sense is completely done yet. And that's my focus. And then, the dress, criticizing the dress comment. Was he like Jacobs from Airplane? I mean, he's doing shtick. I get that. But, Frank, Board of Trade.
Yeah, during the last break, Mike Scott mentioned about the fact that the Democrats were going to focus on the abortion rights issue. And as I recall, during the last election cycle, that was the demographic that put the Democrats in office, was the fact that the unwed mother vote, I don't know how you measure that, was the number that really put them over the top.
Yeah, it's an issue. Thanks for the call, Frank. Well, that's another issue. It has to be game plan. There's no question about it. It's an issue. This is why Mr. 10% was in Virginia yesterday doing a Restore Roe rally. Because that's right. That constituency, single women, and particularly single women that are moms, are as core a constituency to the Democrats as the black vote is, and bigger. So this isn't it. So the messaging on this issue is going to be important. And actually, I think Trump has good instincts on this. I think he's probably taking it where it needs to go. But this is what I'm talking about in terms of sort of game planning, the sequencing, and the tactics associated with the sort of messaging you want to do in the run up to the convention season, and then the run downhill to November when people really start to focus in. I mean, this primary campaign is over, whether Nikki Haley wants to concede it at this moment or not. And so take this opportunity, legal strategy, political strategy, the marriage of the two, and as it pertains to Trump's trials, and then the actual political challenges that Republicans generally, and that includes Trump, have going into November, even despite the unpopularity of Biden, even despite the fact that a majority of this country thinks that the incumbent president is a senile kleptocrat. You would think that would be enough, but I'm telling you it's not yet. Tony in Downers Grove.
Hey, Dan. Yeah, you know what? This is exactly what I was going to say as well. I mean, yes, Nikki Haley's delusional. I mean, she couldn't even win New Hampshire with the independent vote and Democrats voting. But abortion, again, rearing its ugly head. And we've talked about this. There is no messaging from the Republicans. I mean, this is not hard. This is not hard. We know where that cult for the Biden voters stand. They're a cult, too, as much as MAGA is a cult. But there's no message yet. Where's the message on that? And where's the stance on the border? I'm amazed that the Republicans can't get out and say, this is a separate issue, and we're going to vote on this, and that's it. And they're not taking that stand. And if they don't get two messages across in these two areas, that there's going to be no victory in November.
Thanks for the call, Tony. Give you an example of what you're dealing with on the other side, on the left, with this issue, since the other big story that got subordinated to the New Hampshire primary, of course, was the president doing this Restore Roe rally in Virginia, and Kamala Harris doing a hagiographic, what other kind of interviews does CNN do, pushing the same thing. But let's just give you an example of what you're dealing with. This is a woman who's a student at Medical College of Wisconsin, north of the Cheddar Curtain, testifying before the Wisconsin State Legislature.
So gross.
She's an OBGYN student. She's going to be an OBGYN.
I think abortion should be unrestricted. And I think when somebody finds out in pregnancy, or how far along that they are when someone finds out, they should be able to get an abortion if they want to. And for some people, that is full term.
Yeah.
If I can't get abortion training here, if I can't perform abortions in my career, I will not stay in Wisconsin. And a lot of my colleagues who are on the same track agree.
Okay, murderer. How soon till she gets a job in Illinois here?
Yeah,
I'm sure
right.
Jelly Belly will watch that. Like, oh, what's her name? Let's get her information.
Well, I mean, there's a
Fast
lot
track her
of
here.
there's a lot of delicate little flowers wandering around who are, attractive ghouls like that woman who have been indoctrinated with this, to borrow from Tony's from Downers Grove, indoctrinated into this death cult almost since they were taken full term. And so, it's an issue, and particularly in a swing state like Wisconsin. Marty, Naperville.
Good morning. I'm glad I get to follow Josephine Mengele there. My prediction, and talk me out of it, is that during the DNC they're gonna truck out Michelle Obama, and that's going to be the Democratic nominee. Please talk me out of that prediction.
Not happening.
All right, Marty.
It's not going to happen.
First of all, the only way to bring Michelle Obama out is to truck her out.
Hey now.
But secondly,
My former girl there you're talking
I know, stunning.
about. Gorgeous.
We've had this conversation before.
Yes, it's not going to happen, folks. Listen up. Not going to happen.
She will never run for public office.
Never.
And by the way, I always just one of the we, the they, they're going to do something. They're going to put up this person, and they're going to take out that person. Who's the they? Just sort of this amorphous socialist blob. It doesn't work that way. The Biden hillbilly crime family from Wilmington, Delaware gets to have a say. They're sort of in the driver's seat, if you haven't noticed. Coming up at 6:06, the Arizona Republican Party chairman, on behalf of donors, tried to bribe Kari Lake out of running for the United States Senate. We'll have the audio that was released at 6:06.
And rat hole mania may have gone too far. Neighbors are fighting back. We'll tell you why. But now let's head into that newsroom. Very busy day once again. Here's Mike Scott.
Fog could cause travel issues this morning. Man suspected of shooting and killing 8 near Joliet was related to most of those victims. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Former President Trump wins again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
This is a great, great state. You know, we won New Hampshire 3 times now, 3.
The former president won the Republican primary, beating Nikki Haley by about 11 points.
New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation.
And speaking before the former president, Haley told the crowd she'd stay in the race, which he didn't like.
This is not your typical victory speech, but let's not have somebody take a victory when she had a very bad night.
Fox's Brooks Sigmund reports.
Voter analysis shows 87% of New Hampshire Republicans who identify as MAGA supporters back the former president. Trump also receiving support from 68% of conservative voters.
But Haley told supporters with Trump, you get chaos and legal issues, even senior moments.
The first party to retire its 80-year-old candidate is going to be the party that wins this election.
President Biden won a Democratic primary that didn't count, getting more than 60% of the vote.
Supporters of President Biden had to write in his name. He did not appear on the primary ballot here, keeping in step with the DNC's decision to have South Carolina's February primary host the first contest. Still, a grassroots write-in campaign proved successful and well ahead of Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips. Phillips says he is staying in the race.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Bedford, New Hampshire. It's a rough morning in Ukraine. Hours after another barrage of Russian missiles killed at least 18 people, a plane believed to be full of Ukrainian prisoners crashed in Russia.
Russia's defense ministry says the Il-76 aircraft came down in the Belgorod region near the Ukrainian border. According to the governor there, nobody survived. In claims we can't verify, officials in Moscow say it had on board 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. The U.S. went on the attack again, hitting Iran-backed militant targets in Iraq and Yemen. America's listening to Fox News.
34 degrees. We have heavy fog at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Fog could cause travel issues this morning here in the Chicago area as a dense fog advisory is up until 10 a.m. A man suspected of shooting and killing 8 near Joliet over the weekend was apparently related to most of the victims. A day after the 23-year-old fatally shot himself during a confrontation with law enforcement in Texas, Will County law enforcement explained possible reasonings for the shootings.
They gave chase to him. He rounded the corner around the gas station and decided to take his life.
Joliet police and the Will County Sheriff's Office say investigators believe that man, Romeo Nance, shot 7, most of whom were relatives, at 2 homes in Joliet on Sunday before randomly shooting 2 men at other nearby locations, including a nearby apartment complex.
While deputies were en route, they were advised that there was a man found bleeding from the head for an apparent gunshot wound.
Nance died of, again, a self-inflicted gunshot wounds as he made a run for the Mexican border in Texas. Murder charges have been filed against a suburban Chicago man accused of killing his wife and 3 adult daughters. Police allege 63-year-old Mahir Kasim shot his family after an argument at their home Sunday morning in Tinley Park.
Witness 1 observed the defendant shoot victim 4 and then walk toward the exit from the basement
where the defendant shot victim 1 twice.
Scott Clark with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Chinatown residents took their public safety concerns directly to Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling last night. Snelling telling them safe streets are his number one priority.
We do understand that safety across this city is the most important thing right now. In the month of January right now, we're down 17 homicides, 50% down in homicides. We're down 45% in shootings.
Snelling defended ShotSpotter technology and, looking ahead to August, took questions on preparing the CPD for the Democrat convention, admitting his force is training for large-scale protest. The Blackhawks are gearing up tonight to take on Seattle. The Bulls on the road. They'll continue their trip in Los Angeles against the Lakers tomorrow. The news, a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka says it's up to us.
Americans' love of family, love of truth. That is why we will. Well, that's why we've already won in the big scheme of things, and that's why we will always win. Why? Because that is our fuel. And the other side's fuel is what? Hatred. It's up to us to save this nation.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Springfield area attorneys. 2815 Old Jacksonville Road, Suite 103, Springfield, Illinois, 62704.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org. Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Freedom and liberty are important to all of us in Illinois, from Rockford to Carbondale, from Quincy to Decatur. If you're looking for civil, intellectual conversations with those shaping the future of freedom, try the Future of Freedom podcast with me, Scott Bertrand. We speak with leaders across the country in the greater conservative and libertarian movements. In-depth conversations about where the next intellectual battles will happen across the country. It's the Future of Freedom podcast. Find it at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is the service of charlesequipment.com, keeping the lights on when unexpected storms cause loss of power at your business. Get help quickly at charlesequipment.com. Couple of trouble spots this morning, actually 3 inbound Kennedy. There's an accident with a left lane blocked between the Hubbard Street Tunnel and the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson, an accident reported inbound at Central, and the outbound Dan Ryan has an accident reported right lane blocked near Taylor. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, here's our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
A dense fog advisory for the area this morning. Cloudy rain mainly early today. The high today 38. Clouds and fog tonight, low 36. Rain and drizzle for tomorrow, the high 39. Clouds on Friday, the high at 40. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
34 at O'Hare, 36 Midway, heavy fog, 33 in Aurora. Your next news update, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, isn't this a microcosm of our politics? This story about Kari Lake, you know, the Republican nominee for governor last cycle in Arizona. Now she's running for the United States Senate seat, currently occupied by Kristen Sinema in Arizona. But she's not the choice of the establishment GOP donor class in Arizona or D.C., and that was made clear to her, in case it wasn't, by the Arizona State Republican Party chairman, a guy named Jeff DeWitt. They had a conversation, apparently, last March, the audio of which was just released yesterday. The Daily Mail had the exclusive. And I got to tell you, the timing of the release of this tape, I mean, who would have had this audio other than either DeWitt or Lake? And I don't think DeWitt has any interest in releasing it. So Kari Lake or somebody around her releasing it this timing, holding it for these many months, waiting for the right time, if that's the case. I mean, if it is, then I got to tell you, I like the killer instinct.
Oh, she's a beast, man.
I like the, you need people with that kind of killer instinct, not wanting to just play ball to be on their team as opposed to your team, but the your being, her constituents, Americans' team, as opposed to those who buy and sell politicians for their on-again, off-again interests, financial and otherwise. This is really interesting. Because what you're about to hear, we're sort of jaded in Chicagoland and Illinois, but so this is old hat to us. But, outside of the FBI wiretapping an Illinois governor, you don't normally get the back and forth unvarnished like this. So here's what Jeff DeWitt said when he called Kari Lake back in March. By the way, she's confirmed the authenticity of this recording.
All right.
They want to be on the team.
They want you to be on their team.
But
Just team.
But if they're pushing a globalist agenda, I can't do that. So what do they want? What do they want me to do?
They want you to stay out for 2 years. But I'll tell you what I can offer you. But I said you can do whatever you want. It's talking head, this and that. So the ask of me was, it's kind of funny. So the ask I got today from back east was, it has to stay between us. Is there any companies out there or something that could just put her on the payroll and give her to keep her out? And I said, well, what are you willing to do? Like, whatever we need to do.
This is about defeating Trump. And I think that's a bad, bad thing for our country.
And then DeWitt pressed on with look, this is just a pause. Just a pause. And Kari Lake saying, the fight is now. So we can't pause. And then they get into it again, just in terms of, who the they is. The guys back east, the guys upstairs kind of business.
It's a back scratching club. That's all DC is. It's a big back scratching club. You're in no position to scratch anybody's back, and you've already made it known that if you get there, you're not going to scratch anybody's back. I don't scratch people's back. I've been on the outs with a lot of people for a long time because I don't scratch backs. Where are we in 2 years if they steal the election again?
Listen to what you're saying. Why don't we do something about it so that we the people can pick our...
What can we do?
I'm not willing to accept that. Then I'm going to be the biggest pain in these people's Go back and tell them that. I'm running, and I'm going to be the biggest pain in their
I'm willing to tell them that.
and they're going to have to kill me to stop me.
Wow. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
She went back as the conversation proceeded to assert what you heard her assert at the outset, that this is about taking out Trump and, by extension, Trump supporters like her, and then her sort of general disgust. She goes back and forth a little bit, sort of, because DeWitt argues that it's an honor that they're attempting to buy you out of the race, but her disgust at that proposition.
I'm with Trump, okay? I want to work for the betterment of Arizona. I'm not going to let these people back in D.C. tell me not to run. I'm not going to pause for 2 years. The battle is now. I'm offended by whoever these people are that they're trying to buy me out of.
Well, you should be honored.
But I'm offended that there's people back there who just don't give about our country.
Do you understand, though? You should be honored. That means they know how powerful you are.
Well, I can tell them
If
that.
you weren't powerful, they wouldn't want to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Right? You should be. Very few people get this.
I know. I'm pissed that they don't care more about our country. It's all about the mighty dollar to them. And that's offensive.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
They want to get Trump so bad. They want him out so bad.
About Trump. This isn't about Trump. It's about you. It's not about Trump. It's about you. It's not about Trump. Some people that are in on this.
Listen, I can win. Why don't you go back and tell them that I can win, and why don't they get behind me?
I see these things through a different lens.
Oh, that's the point I raised last hour when we were talking about Trump with respect to the donor class. Once it becomes obvious that he's the nominee, and if you don't want to see another term of Biden, why don't you lean into Trump and attempt to have influence in a direction that perhaps makes him better at some of the concerns that they have, and frankly, that I probably have in terms of presentation, and maybe even some disagreements on policy. That's fine. But why don't you lean into it and be constructive on the right side of things, as opposed to undermining the right side of things because it's not your guy on the right side, representing the right side.
You know what this reminds me of? Remember when during the gubernatorial race we had Jesse Sullivan on? Good-looking guy. Remember, he looks like Tom Brady's little brother. And he said he was visited, remember, at his home by higher up in the Republican Party, asking him not to run or wait your turn or run for something else. And there was and he wouldn't give us the name of the person, remember?
Yeah, there was somebody
horse trading going on.
It was like threatening, and then maybe somebody tried to buy him out. Well, I mean, like Carrie Lake, per this audio, and again, we don't know the source of it, but it has been authenticated by two sources of the Daily Mail, as well as Carrie Lake herself yesterday when this story broke. But she comes across as like she's the anti-Rod Blagojevich. That's probably the most the closest example we have of, the guy being the governor, trying to sell off this and sell off that, and these guys trying to buy and sell in a similar fashion, not a Senate seat per se in this case, but a nomination for a Senate seat because they don't want Carrie Lake.
I just love how he mentions her not to mention the conversation to anybody.
Yeah,
then he makes his first offer.
Yeah, and
it's not a good look.
And by the way, DeWitt, I think you'll hear him say in this last clip, expresses his support of Trump. He should be supportive of Trump. Trump nominated him to be the CFO of NASA, where he served as CFO for 2 years, the Arizona Republican Party state chairman. We'll see how long that goodwill lasts at this point. When this audio came out yesterday, there have now been calls, including by Carrie Lake, as well as by the Maricopa County Republican Party chairman, for DeWitt to resign. So we'll see. But here's the last gasp DeWitt makes to try to get a number out of Carrie Lake, or if this, then that out of her.
Just to say, is there a number at which
I can be bought?
not be bought?
That's what it's about.
You can take a pause
Rented.
for a couple
Just
years,
rented.
No.
And then go right back to what you're doing.
No. 10 million, 20 million, 30, no. $1 billion, no. This is not about money. This is about our country. I think it's disturbing that they would that anybody would think this is.
No, to be fair, even me, I'll say this. I want a fresh face right now for the reason that I've never seen anyone. I can't think of a single person in a federal race who's lost, ran in and won. I can't think of it. If you can think of it, let me know.
I am not going to let these people who hate our country tell me not to run. You should call them and tell them to get behind me. I can win, and they should get behind me.
I will happily say those words.
Yeah.
Do you think my words will carry any weight? No.
Okay, well, did you think you would come in here and that I would be bought?
It's not being bought.
Yes, it is.
I think.
It is being bought. No. They are trying to buy me out of running. It's actually, I mean, all right, I'm flattered. I'm offended. I'm offended for our country. We have people like this who live here.
What I think is this. Is it can give you an incredible opportunity to have a bigger voice to fight for stuff than you currently do.
Yeah.
Oh, the spin.
Yeah.
My God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to deal with people like this. These people are un-American, and I think they're unethical, and I would be absolutely immoral if I did that.
Again.
That's immoral. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror if I, you know.
For you.
That couldn't be a better moment for Carrie Lake than if she would have staged it herself, if she would have written that script. Could not be a better moment with her candidacy, obviously subsequent to that phone call, and now pretty long ago having been announced for Senate seat. By the way, on the lean-in piece of it, you know, the polling in that race, I'm not saying Carrie Lake is a lock, or there may not be a better candidate out there in Arizona. I don't know that landscape well enough to comment on that. But she's, I think, a point up on Ruben Gallego, who's the Democrat candidate in the race, congressman, a Marine. He's not going to be an easy candidate to beat. And I think she's 1 point down if Kristen Sinema decides to run for re-election as an independent and make it a three-way race. And you know how Kristen Sinema likes three-ways.
Hey-o. And those
Thank
kinky
you.
boots on the Senate floor.
So,
Dear Lord.
I was like, Carrie Lake is not an impossibility in Arizona the way that Jeff DeWitt and the boys back east want to suggest. I mean, just based on the numbers. So I say again, I mean, if that's, you have a primary if you want to fight it out. If you think you've got somebody better, then put them up against Carrie Lake. If they win, they win. If they lose, then you back Carrie Lake, then lean into it. Or if you don't think you can beat her in a primary, then save your money and focus it on a pickup opportunity and lean into Carrie Lake right now. You know, it's so funny how these guys who are, some of these guys, like the boys back east that DeWitt's talking about, they pretend to be like, they're so transactional, they're realpolitik, they're not ideological, and yet they become ideologically tethered to certain popular opinions that are repeated on MSNBC and CNN and by David French and Never Trumpers, and they think that, well, that's just the received wisdom. That just is, and I'm going to hold on to that regardless of other arguments, regardless of, data-driven evidence to suggest that is not, or it certainly may not be the case. There's, there's a lot people with a lot. There are people out there with a lot of money who play in GOP politics who don't have a scintilla's worth of political instincts. Mary Kay, Western Springs.
Hey, good morning. So I held that meeting last night to talk to people about Jeannie's Ives initiative at parentsmattercoalition.org. Only 18-year-old kids showed up, which I thought was great. So we're talking, and I am getting, to be relatable to 18-year-olds at my age makes me so happy because they just open up and they say everything that's on their mind. And we were swearing, and they're like saying, "Excuse me," and I'm saying, "I'm sorry," But
you were swearing, and they were having to correct you. I see.
I did it under my breath. I said "frickin'" and "what the hell," stuff like that. And then they were picking up on it. I know, but they're kids, and we know. We are in the same circles. They know me. And but what I hear Carrie Lake saying is, "Don't ruin it for the country." She's sensible, saying, "I am the candidate," and for that guy to say a bigger voice, who doesn't have a big Jeannie? I mean, Carrie Lake has a huge voice, bigger voice. What bigger? What did he mean?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mary Kate. No, what he was saying is, this is the great thing. Here's the pitch. We give you money to go away for 2 years, and then you'll have even a bigger voice. Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
In this moment right now, as a surrogate for Trump, as a Senate candidate, I would have a bigger, as opposed to doing that, I would have a bigger voice if I disappeared.
What's this the spin, how they try and sell it? It's so gross.
Right. We're gonna send you into exile. You're gonna go to you're gonna go to Elba, and we don't want to hear from you for 2 years. And then you're gonna have a bigger voice after that, after you skip this election cycle.
I'm so glad she told him to pound sand, and I'm so glad this audio came out.
John in Florence, Wisconsin.
Yeah, good for Carrie Lake. Carpe diem. These boys out east are just a bunch of gutless cowards that are lazy, because the best economy the world has ever seen was December of 2019. Abraham Lincoln lost a couple times before he got the presidency, and President Trump, he didn't have any political career before 2016. And what scares the uniparty, the swamp of D.C., is if everybody works, America is still the best country on the planet with every resource available. And if you want true freedom of everything, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, give everybody a job and destroy the government establishment from the bottom up. Because once everyone has a paycheck, you don't need the government. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks, John. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-353-2973 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
All right, a few weeks ago, I was at a volleyball tournament, and I was talking to this lovely lady. She was very nice, and she looked like she was in pain. I said, "Oh, what's going on?" And she said, "Well, I had my knee replaced, and it still hurts, and it was swollen. It didn't look good." And she got that done in July. It's January, and she's still in pain. It did not work. So guess what? Why don't you do this before you go under the knife? Call QC Kinetics. It's regenerative non-surgical pain relief, and it is the bomb right now. This is what you want to do before you go under the knife. And if you've had chronic pain in your knees and your hips and your shoulders and your elbows, try QC Kinetics. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. You know, your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. And this is not a Band-Aid. It's a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. So get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. If this is a year you decide to fight back against the pain, then take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. Get a free consultation on that calendar today. 312-809-5955. The number, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. It's a new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and if one of your New Year's resolutions was to do more to help others, then we want to let you know that you still have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of children in Latin America and the Caribbean through Food for the Poor. Your donation of just $80 provides food for an entire year for 2 children. That's life-changing. Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Food for the Poor is a faith-based organization that works with partners on the ground to make sure these children are fed. You know, we talk a lot about the root causes of our immigration crisis, and one of those causes is the situation in many of these countries. This is your chance to help take care of others. To make a donation of any amount, just visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. Thanks again for your generosity.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba. With cold and flu season, now is the time to ensure you're building an effective immune system. Zinc is so critical for every function of your body, especially your immune defense. And there's no better way to check your zinc levels than our zinc tally test. First, we'll test you in our offices, and then you get to take your very own zinc tally test home with you, and once a week, watch your steady progress. Can't get to our offices for your first zinc tally test? No problem. We'll ship a kit to you. It's so fast and simple to use, with quick results in just seconds, with you not having to pay for those blood tests to check for zinc deficiencies, which most of us probably are deficient. So call our Health Quest radio hotline at 800-794-1855 to order yours today. And listen to Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11. Call 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Frank Vance, co-owner of Egan Vance Insurance Agency on Chicago's Northwest Side and a customer of Signature Bank. In my line of work, we pride ourselves on being there for our clients when they need it the most, and we recognize when someone does the same for us. As Egan Vance was expanding, we wanted to buy a much sought-after building in the neighborhood. We couldn't waste any time. I called Signature Bank, and that was all it took. I didn't have to talk to multiple people in siloed departments with multiple forms to fill out. One call did it all. As the one who was always looking out for my clients, it was a great change to know that my bank, Signature Bank, was looking out for me.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Sort of sticking in Arizona in part because he's a Republican candidate for Congress there. Our friend Dr. Zuhdi Jasser joins us to talk maybe a little bit about his race in Arizona, the Kerry Lake tape, but also, of course, about the geopolitics in the Middle East, as well as the anti-Semitism on campuses in the Ivy League and elsewhere. That's all at 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
6:32 on AM 560, The Answer. And this morning, Russia says a military transport carrying 74, including 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war that were to be swapped, has crashed in a border region near Ukraine. The Russian governor saying all on board were killed. It's not immediately clear what caused that crash in the Belgorod region. Former President Donald Trump has held off Nikki Haley to win the New Hampshire GOP primary.
She's doing like a speech like she won. She didn't win, she lost.
Haley vowing to stay in the race and is hoping to score big in South Carolina.
They're falling all over themselves, saying this race is over. Well, I have news for all of them. New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation.
In the Democrat race, President Biden winning New Hampshire's primary as a write-in candidate. U.S. confirms conducting 3 airstrikes in Iraq in retaliation for an attack that injured 4 Americans. As aftershocks continue from an earthquake in western China, more than 12,000 have been forced out of their homes in freezing weather. That all from a previous day, magnitude 7.1 earthquake. Fog causing travel problems in the area. Visibilities are cut down, and a dense fog advisory is in place until 10 a.m. Murder charges have been filed against a suburban Chicago man accused of killing his wife and 3 adult daughters in what police describe as a domestic-related shooting. Police allege 63-year-old Mahir Kasim shot his family members after an argument at their home Sunday morning in Tinley Park.
Witness 1 observed the defendant shoot victim 4 and then walk toward the exit from the basement where the defendant shot victim 1 twice.
Scott Clark is with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. A judge ordered Kasim remanded to detention until a hearing next month, citing security risks. Chinatown residents took their public safety concerns directly to Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling last night in one of 4 required public hearings for the Community Commission on Public Safety. Snelling telling residents safe streets is his #1 priority.
We do understand that safety across this city is the most important thing right now. In the month of January right now, we're down 17 homicides. 50% down in homicides. We're down 45% in shootings.
In an attempt to turn around slumping poll numbers over his migrant shelter fiasco, Mayor Brandon Johnson today will introduce an ordinance that would require new buildings and homes to use electric over natural gas. It's called the Clean and Affordable Buildings Ordinance and will be introduced today. It already faces stiff union opposition. The Blackhawks take on Seattle tonight. The Bulls preparing for the Lakers. Big Ten hoops tonight. Northwestern goes for the upset as they host number 11, Illinois. The news, a service of Charles Equipment. Be prepared for any outdoor event in any season in Chicago. Prepare ahead for unpredictable weather with industrial generators from Charles Equipment. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Sean Thompson Show.
The Joe Biden administration is truly the administration for the rats, the thieves, the cartel members, the gangbangers. They're having the time of their life, and they're making more money than ever before. When a politician, a salesman, or a gypsy of any kind tells you, I'll be honest with you, that's when you know they're lying. When one of these Ukrainian overlords in a $6,000 suit tells you we don't steal the money, it's pretty much a confession of him stealing the money.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm always on the road driving, and I take care of people's dogs. I do feel a difference, and I'm nature, take Balance of Nature. And the fiber and spice is really great. You know, sometimes when you're on the road all the time and you don't eat right and stuff, I take that and it's wonderful. It's very good.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Would you go to court without a lawyer when the other guy is lawyered up? Or are you going to go it alone and learn law and procedure as you go? When you have an insurance claim for your home or business, it's the same thing.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company.
Insurance companies will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them. not you.
If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Croscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%, and we could do the same for you. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Croscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at CrosscomInc.com. That's CrosscomInc.com. Croscom, building trust for over 20 years.
Do you know that high blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for mortality? In fact, 1 in 2 adults have high blood pressure. That's a 50-50 chance you're a walking time bomb. But you, not Big Pharma, can take control of your blood pressure before it's too late with my friends at 120 Life. 120 Life is a blend of great-tasting superfruit juices that actually help lower your blood pressure. It's formulated with ingredients that have been shown to naturally control high blood pressure and are endorsed by thousands of health professionals. You can try it for yourself risk-free with their 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use the code NEWYEAR to save 20% and receive free shipping. They are so sure that 120 Life can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks that they'll give you your money back if you're not satisfied. So you have nothing to lose but those high blood pressure numbers. Order now at 120life.com and remember to use coupon code NEWYEAR to save 20%. This is serious. It's your life we're talking about here. So hurry up. The offer ends January 31st.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
6:39. Quick update on the roads and in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center. We're seeing heavy travel times developing on the inbound Kennedy 54 into the Burns Circle interchange. You're solid from Armitage on in. The Ike inbound at 42 into the old post office. Brake lights between Manheim and Oak Park Avenue. Dan Ryan in right now. Locals jam solid 51st all the way up to 18th. And solid traffic on I-57 in from 115th into the Ryan merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, we see rain, mainly early today, and extreme fog causing travel trouble through the morning with a high of 40. Currently, light rain and 34. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. A good notable and quotable yesterday in the Wall Street Journal. Rest in peace, Sergeant Abu Latif. Abu Latif was killed near the border with in Gaza, near the Israeli border in Gaza. Troops were inside buildings they were preparing to demolish with mines. Hamas fighters fired rocket-propelled grenades at a tank that was securing the site and at the two of the two-story buildings where the soldiers were completing their mission. Sergeant First Class Abu Latif worked as a security guard at Ben-Gurion University, father of a baby girl. In a post dated October 25th, Abu Latif wrote that he was proud to be serving in the Bedouin Patrol Unit and of being an Israeli Bedouin. So that's Arabic extraction. Right? We forget in this conversation that there are allies of the Jews, Israel, in the state of Israel, that are of Arabic ethnicity. Even before he was called up for reserve duty, Abu Latif said, "I'm happy that I'm able to invite my friends to eat meat and rahat and can be hosted in the gardens of the people from the Kibbutz Shovel, who play the guitar and sing songs. I'm happy when I can travel around Israel with my friends, and I'm most happy that they learn Arabic to try to talk to me in Arabic and ask me to help them. Since the war erupted, We hear a lot about the involvement of the Arab citizens. Unfortunately, among the fallen are Bedouin and Druze soldiers, Muslims and Christians, who fell as heroes while defending the country. There's nothing greater than that. We all share the same fate, and we must work together. Unfortunately, there are people who don't believe in cooperation between different populations. They try to intimidate, provoke, and destroy relations, destroy trust. Don't believe them. Don't let it happen. Rest in peace, Sergeant Abu Latif. The people he's talking about, certainly Hamas terrorists, and also, the Ivy League, the American professorate,
right,
writ large. I mean, just in case, we say again, you thought that Harvard, for example, was chastened by the Claudine Gay affair. Just in case you thought that.
Not that they learned a lesson? Maybe.
The co-chair of the Task Force on Combating Anti-Semitism at Harvard is a history professor named Derek Penslar, who believes Israel operates a regime of apartheid that employs Jewish supremacism. I mean,
are you kidding me?
You can't
make this stuff up.
It's unbelievable. Our friend Rich Goldberg at Foundation Defense Democracy, the same thing's going on at Northwestern. Northwestern president, the Dickensian named Michael Schill, his advisory committee on preventing anti-Semitism and hate, it's important work. He's got this whole missive announcing the committee and all the names and all of the, sort of corporate academic blather about important work and, a better tomorrow and all this kumbaya nonsense. And Goldberg actually looked at the names. Meet this helpful member of the committee, an activist in the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, Jessica Winiger. 3 of the members on the committee signed a public letter rejecting condemnations of anti-Semitism and insisting on an Islamophobia task force instead. One student appears to be the leader, one student who's on this anti-Semitism task force at Northwestern, appears to be the leader of the NU MENA group, that's Middle East, North Africa, the MENA student group that has been a chief source of genocidal calls against Jews. And the co-chair's qualifications, his most influential scholarship is Tribal Critical Race Theory, a groundbreaking framework he developed this is his quote, the description of it on his behalf, a groundbreaking framework he developed in 2005 to help explain indigenous peoples' complex experiences with education, colonialization, and racism. Right. It's literally like the Far Side cartoon with the guy in hell in the wheelbarrow whistling while he works, and the 2 devils are watching him, and the one says to the other, I don't think we're getting through to this guy. That's what this is like at Harvard and Northwestern, the Ivy League, these elite schools. I don't think, maybe it's not possible to get through to them.
I just think about the Jewish students there and if they ever feel safe.
For more on this and other geopolitical matters, we're pleased to be joined again by Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, the president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, co-founder of the Muslim Reform Movement, former U.S. Navy lieutenant commander, and, if that wasn't enough, Republican candidate for Congress in Arizona in District 4. That's the district that Stanton, right, the former mayor of Phoenix, I think a Democrat is the incumbent. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's great to be with you, Dan. Thank you for having me back.
Is that your district, the Stanton, the former Phoenix mayor?
Yes, it is. The Missing in Action Stanton, who just recently voted to allow no change at the border. The same Stanton that was missing when Rashida Tlaib came to raise money for a terrorist organization, the Students for Justice in Palestine. So I think the people are ready for a significant change and real leadership in our district.
And is Arizona State in that district?
Yes, ASU is in our district in Tempe, and they receive funds for a lot of the work they do from the taxpayers, and the taxpayers have a right to make sure that their kids, their universities, their professors are not condoning anti-Semitism, condoning support of Hamas and providing material support of Hamas. And it's a very simple thing, and yet as you have been outlining, it is an upside-down world where we seem to be truly targeting the victims, the Jewish community, who has been the primary victims of bigotry and hate, and yet somehow when they defend themselves, the only democracy in the Middle East, they become the enemy, which is just absurd.
Yeah, this seems to me like so easy, but it's stunningly difficult. I mean, you're a medical doctor, so you've had your share of schooling. The culture on campuses at what are reputedly, some of the best institutions of higher learning in the Western world, that's maybe in question, but I don't know. Maybe they're like America, sort of the tallest skyscraper in Wichita at the moment. But I mean, what Harvard is doing, what Northwestern is doing, it's almost you cannot be that dense. It almost has to be purposely offensive. It almost has to be like, you think you can bring us to heel? You're not even close. I just can't otherwise explain what I just described with these, task force that are supposed to, try to paper over or provide some, healing process on campus and so forth.
When I testified to Congress multiple times in 2011, 2012 about the rot in the system that used the term Islamophobia, and that there was this alliance with regimes like Qatar and Iran and others that created this term to suppress free speech. And I said, in the universities, these radical Islamists are working with the far left, the progressivists, who are labeling Muslims as the victims, but Islam is an idea. We have a right to debate whether Islam is a theocratic, oppressive movement, or if it's a faith that's a personal faith that many of us love, that want to defend, but yet there's a civil war happening. And now fast forward, peri-pandemic and post-pandemic, every front, people are realizing that the wokeists, the progressivists, turned everything upside down, made America into the problem rather than the solution. And they exploited that. We see this in our medical schools. And I can tell you, as a physician, I've seen national medical meetings open with the apologetic that this meeting is on stolen ground and all the DEI nonsense. Right. Our military academies, as a former military officer, I'm on the board of an organization called STARS that's looking at reform within our naval and Air Force academies at bizarre language limitations, bizarre inabilities of our future military officers to have debates about and discussions about what terrorism is and what Islamism is and who our enemies are and what America stands for. On every front, America is under siege, and it's not a coincidence that the border is also out of control, because they're trying to destroy us in every way possible, and the rot starts from the top as far as the universities and what we're teaching our next generation. And as Reagan said, we're one generation from losing it, this country, losing our freedoms, and we can't step aside and say, oh, it'll work next election cycle. It'll work in a few years and work its way out. The time is now to fix this, and we have to realize that rot needs to be corrected immediately.
Well, what should President Biden do at the border? Policy changes.
Well, it could start with, even H.R. 2, which was about stopping the nonsense as far as asylum and re-upping the reality of what our laws say on the books. Just enforce the laws on the books. Have the Border Patrol do what they are assigned to do, which is to prevent folks from coming in needlessly and hemorrhaging in without any limitations. Just enforce the laws on the books. And why we continue to pass continuing resolution after continuing resolution, funding wars abroad and not our own country, is just besides me. And I don't see why the Republicans are labeled as obstructionists, and somehow we don't want to support other conflict while our own military is being attacked by Iran and other interests, and yet we want to seal our border first. So the laws are on the books, and the Democrats need to be held accountable for the fact that they're allowing an invasion constantly at levels unseen before. And I don't think the Republican Party should stand anymore for letting this happen.
The words I read at the outset, those moving words from that sergeant first class who was killed in action defending his home on behalf of others, talking about the need for people, Arabic people and Jewish people to work together for peace in that region. You know, I don't want to be Pollyannish about this, but I mean, is it underappreciated in the West, the amount of collaboration there is between Jewish people and Arabic people when it comes to trying to repel and eradicate terrorist organizations like Hamas?
You are so right, Dan. I mean, I can't tell you. I've been to Israel twice, and both times, people don't realize there's 1 million Israeli Arabs that live among the 6-7 million Jews in Israel. I've talked to judges in their Sharia. They have a Sharia court system it's a Muslim court system for marriage and family law that is part of the Israeli legal system, along with the Jewish and Christian courts that are there. There's a Christian Arab on their Supreme Court. They have members of the Knesset that are Muslim, some of whom are actually pretty radical, actually, that don't toe the line of regular democracy, but yet they accept that as part of their democracy, that even Hamas supporters can be part of their Knesset, of their democracy. So, listen, people don't understand the reality of what Israel is and how much not only of an ally, but what they represent for the future. There's a book called The Startup Nation about all the small startups that exist in Israel, and most of them include Palestinian, Arabic, Jewish, Israeli citizens working together for a future. And, this is the reality, and why I think the greatest bigots in the room across the country in universities and what we were talking about with DEI are the left, because they want to divide us into identity groups. And most of us want to be colorblind, want to be religion blind, and more about freedom and equality, real equality. And that's why I think there will be a red wave in November if people start to realize that we are the party of equality, meritocracy, free markets, free thinking, and not the quality of identity, not the party of identity politics.
Before we let you go, I have to ask you about that Kari Lake, Jeff DeWitt tape that was made public yesterday by the Daily Mail. There have been calls for the state party chairman, Republican Party chairman in Arizona, to resign over the apparent attempt to bribe Kari Lake out of the race for Senate. What's your reaction?
I have to tell you, man, I'm worried about my own race, but at the end of the day, if that turns out to be true, this is why many of us are running and why people say, why aren't good people in politics? And God bless Kari Lake for responding to him the way she did. She said, listen, you can't buy me for $1 billion, and these are the kind of candidates we need in office. And if the head of a state party, listen, he was a Trump appointee and continued. Yeah. This is not about anti-Trump or pro-Trump. It's about the future of American democracy, and that we can't let, as he said, if that's him, out east, people want different things. I mean, if we really want to reform elections and have true voice of the people, this demonstrates that this is the type of finagling going on that needs to stop right now. We need to expose it.
Should DeWitt resign?
I'll let him decide that. I'm still running my first race ever in state here, okay. So I'll let him decide that.
Has he been supportive of you?
I've not talked to him yet about my race, but he's not weighed in on our congressional race.
Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, he is a candidate for Congress in Arizona 4. He would double the average IQ of Congress if he were elected by himself. Z4AZ.com is the website, Z4AZ.com. This is a guy we want in a policy leadership position. Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, President, American Islamic Forum for Democracy, co-founder of the Muslim Reform Movement, former Navy Lieutenant Commander and candidate for Congress. Dr. Jasser, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Amy, appreciate it.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play. Stop, opt out.
Oh, Jake, this new man cave you built is crazy. How big is that TV?
It's 100 inches.
Serious upgrade. How'd you pay for all this?
Easy. I got a home equity line of credit from Figure. I got approved in 5 minutes and funding in just 5 days.
Hold up. You're saying you can get approved for a HELOC from Figure in 5 minutes with funding in just 5 days?
Yup. It's that fast and easy. The application is 100% online with no in-person appraisal. Plus, there's no out-of-pocket costs. Just fast access to the cash you need to use however you want.
I need a HELOC from Figure. How do I get started?
Just send them a text.
Text SERIOUS to 200-300 to get up to $400,000 in a home equity line of credit from Figure. Get approved in 5 minutes and funding in as few as 5 days. Text the word SERIOUS to 200-300 right now. Text SERIOUS to 200-300. SERIOUS to 200-300.
Figure Lending LLC, DBA Figure. Equal Opportunity Lender. NMLS 1717824. Terms and conditions apply. Visit Figure.com for more information. For licensing information, go to www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org.
Is your local delivery provider unreliable? Do your same-day deliveries never get there the same day? Or has your delivery service left you out in the cold this winter? Then you need to know about the Delivery Authority. We are exceptional people that deliver flawless service. We are a logistics company based in Naperville that specializes in same-day, next-day, and final-mile deliveries. At the Delivery Authority, our account managers own the entire delivery process, from the pickup to final delivery, with real-time tracking that helps assure that your freight gets there safely, in good condition, and on time. And although we are a local company, our delivery footprint extends throughout the Midwest. So if you need a trusted local partner who can provide customized delivery solutions, on-time delivery performance, and hands-on customer service, then you need to call the Delivery Authority. Call us now at 630-893-7100. That's 630-893-7100. Or visit us online at thedeliveryauthority.com. That's thedeliveryauthority.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Former state rep and Chicago mayoral candidate Cam Buckner threatens Biden with hosting the DNC in Chicago. 707.
But first, let's stop by the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Fog cutting down on visibility this morning, a dense fog advisory until 10 a.m. WIND, Chicago News Time 7.
First you want Iowa, then New Hampshire. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. USA, USA. That's at a Trump victory rally.
We have no choice. If we don't win, I think our country is finished. I do.
The former president won the primary, beating Nikki Haley by about 11 points in New Hampshire, but she called it a great night.
This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go.
That prompted this Trump response.
Who the was the imposter that went up on the stage before and claimed a victory? She did very poorly, actually.
But Haley says it's on to her home state, South Carolina, next month from today.
With Donald Trump, you have one bout of chaos after another. This court case, that controversy, this tweet, that senior moment.
She again called for a mental competency test, again challenging the former president to a debate. Now, there was also a Democratic primary that didn't count because the party wants South Carolina first next month. So President Biden wasn't even on the ballot last night, but he won New Hampshire's primary anyway, with more than 60% of voters writing the Biden name in, while he held a rally for abortion rights in Virginia.
Let there be no mistake. The person most responsible for taking away this freedom in America is Donald Trump.
Russia is now claiming a military transport plane that crashed near the Ukraine border was shot down by Ukraine. Officials say there are no survivors, and Russia says 65 of the 74 people killed were Ukrainian prisoners of war. The U.S. went on the attack twice in the Middle East, first hitting Iran-backed militants in Iraq who've been attacking and targeting American forces over and over. Then in Yemen, targeting rebels who've been attacking ships.
U.S. Central Command saying this, quote, U.S. forces identified the missiles in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen and determined that they presented an imminent threat to merchant vessels and the U.S. Navy ships in the region. U.S. forces subsequently struck and destroyed the missiles in self-defense.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. America's listening to Fox News. Foggy conditions. Visibilities are cut down across the entire portions of northern Illinois this morning, and a dense fog advisory is up till about 10 a.m. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. A man suspected of shooting and killing 8 near Joliet over the weekend was apparently related to most of the victims. According to authorities yesterday, who talked after 23-year-old
Romeo Nance fatally shot himself during a confrontation with law enforcement in Texas.
They gave chase to him. He rounded the corner around the gas station and decided to take his life.
Joliet police and the Will County Sheriff's Office say investigators believe Nance shot 7, most of whom were relatives, at 2 homes in Joliet Sunday, before randomly targeting 2 other men at nearby locations.
Yeah, we can't get inside his head. We just don't have any clue as to why he did what he did.
Nance died again of a self-inflicted gunshot wound on Monday, being pursued by U.S. Marshals in Texas. Murder charges have been filed against a suburban man accused of killing his wife and 3 adult daughters in what police describe as a domestic-related shooting. Police allege 63-year-old Maher Kasim shot his family after an argument at their home Sunday morning in Tinley Park.
Witness 1 observed the defendant shoot victim 4 and then walk toward the exit from the basement, where the defendant shot victim 1 twice.
Scott Clark is with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. A judge ordered Kasim remain detained until a hearing next month. As the influx of migrants continues into 2024, Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson are on 2 different pages regarding shelter for the arrivals.
I'm deeply concerned. We do not have enough shelter as it is in the city of Chicago. The city has not told the state where they would like us to put our resources to build new shelters or help them build new shelters.
Chicago's seen nearly 30,000 non-citizen arrivals in the last year and 1/2. Blackhawks take on Seattle tonight. Bulls gearing up for the Lakers. Big Ten hoops tonight. Northwestern will go for the upset against number 11 Illinois at Welsh Ryan Arena. The news, a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm always on the road driving, and I take care of people's dogs. I do feel a difference. And I'm always telling everybody about take Balance of Nature, take Balance of Nature. And the fiber and spice is really great. You know, sometimes when you're on the road all the time and you don't eat right and stuff, I take that, and it's wonderful. It's very good.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code Chicago.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. There are a lot of great dads out there. Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we've represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit CordellCordell.com to take the first step.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Springfield area attorneys. 2815 Old Jacksonville Road, Suite 103, Springfield, Illinois, 62704.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Chronic pain, it can ruin your marriage, bring on depression. It's no way to live.
But now there's a non-surgical way to get rid of that hip, back, and joint pain. It's called QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. Did you know that your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue? And QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetic providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People like you and me with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. Folks, this is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. Get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. So fight back against the pain. Take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. This is the number, 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
We're at 7:08. That means it's time to get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Edens right now, 22 minutes. Inbound from Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy recovering from an earlier accident between Fullerton and Augusta. 24 in from the junction into the Burns Circle interchange. On the outbound side of the Kennedy, slow go out to the big airport. 45 out to O'Hare this morning. Eisenhower inbound at 52 into the old post office. Stevenson 51 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan 31 into the Burns Circle interchange. We're just seeing an accident on I-57 inbound right at 107. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast in our QC Kinetics Weather Center. Here's Steve Williams.
A dense fog advisory in effect this morning. Clouds and rain mainly early today. Use some caution when traveling today, high 38. Clouds and fog tonight, low 36. Rain and drizzle for tomorrow, the high 39. Clouds on Friday, the high 40. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
We're at 34 at O'Hare. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. It's getting fun now.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder how the shakedown artists like getting shaken down. Cam Buckner is a state rep. He was one of the candidates for mayor last go-around.
Former football player, big guy. Yeah.
If Chicago doesn't get federal help for its housing crisis, it should pass on hosting the DNC. How do you like that? Instead of worrying about prepping for the DNC and how we got to get control of the situation on the ground here with in terms of violent crime and the migrants and the combination of the two. Instead of that, like we're worried, we're looking at, no, unless you give us X, you take your convention.
Give me dat. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also hit us up on our text line, which is up and running, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
I mean, that this has to be music to the ears of one Governor Jellybelly, who's this is supposed to be his coming out party. This is his star turn, having the hosting duties for the Democrat National Convention come the fall. Yeah. And here you have some of the rank and file new Marxists bespoiling that coming out party potentially.
Well, they have demands, and Cam Buckner is not the only one. I mean, when you were off just one day a few weeks ago, Father Flager came out and said, absolutely, we need to cancel this. We are not ready. We need to help the homeless first.
Father Flager came on the show?
No, didn't come on the show. He played sound bites because he came out and was.
I would have hated to miss that.
Yeah. Whew. I'm not going there. Yeah, but I'm just saying that he came out and said we need to stop this. We're not doing that. We should not host the DNC convention.
Well, it's funny you say that because in this op-ed in the Tribune, in the coming weeks, writes Cam Buckner, I will be working with Father Michael Flager and a contingent of concerned Chicagoans from St. Sabina who share the concerns have begun to mobilize behind them. Hey, why don't you go shut down an expressway over it?
Hey, why not? Palestinians did again on Saturday. They shut down the Stevenson. But then
The
people
pro-Hamas
actually,
protesters?
yeah, with their flags, the green Hamas flag. But they actually, Illinois State Police actually arrested them or just took them off the highway and got their cars off.
So the shakedown here, the national call out. We're not just asking for money. You take your convention if you don't give us, and this. So that's just fantastic. If it doesn't give you a sense of how delusional these politicians are, the immeasurable self-importance they confer, I don't know what will. By the way, catch something else in the phraseology. We don't have a migrant crisis, just like we don't have a border crisis, like the big guy says. We don't have a migrant crisis in Chicago. You know what we have?
What do we have?
Just what Cam Buckner said. Housing crisis. Mm-hmm. Some have called it a migrant crisis. This is the prose of one Cam Buckner, who is an attorney, by the way, but not necessarily a real stickler for the law. You see that a lot, actually, with attorneys. Surprising amount. Some have called it a migrant crisis, others a mission, others a challenge. I believe these terms have convoluted the issue that is really at the forefront. Chicago has a housing crisis, which is a self-inflicted and on full display. Mm-hmm. I mean, the $16 million in leases to 3 West Loop politically connected developers we talked about yesterday, I guess speaks to that, huh? Calling this a migrant crisis, writes Representative Buckner, who, by the way, big proponent of the Safety Act, too,
Yeah.
the Pritzker-Purge law.
Didn't he author it?
I think he was a co-sponsor.
Yeah, co-sponsor. I can't stand him because of COVID, because I begged him for help, because he's a former football player. I'm like, you know what it's like. You know the need to play organized sports. Help. And he wouldn't do it. Absolutely refused.
Calling this a migrant crisis, he writes, creates the narrative of Chicagoans versus arrivals and allows people to look past the humanitarian obligations that have already existed and run to their corners without listening. Humanitarian obligations that have already existed and run to the corner. I don't. He needs that copy editor. Furthermore, it creates, and so does the Tribune apparently. Furthermore, it creates a sensationalized rift between two communities that already have a complicated relationship. And here we go with the identitarian politics.
Okay, what? I can't wait.
Here's a phrase that should be removed from the English language, like right underneath the "Do you know who I am?"
Oh, I love
right
that
underneath
one.
"Do you know who I am?" as a fill in the identitarian blank. As a Irish, Danish, cisgendered,
Non-binary,
patriarchal, member of the patriarchy. No. As a second-generation native black Chicagoan. Oh, my God.
Second generation native black Chicagoan.
Yeah, who is married to a first-generation Latina American and raising a black and Latino son. Hey, could you give us more detail? I understand firsthand the complexities of the connection between the indigenous and the new arrivals. But if Chicago magically ceased to be a welcoming city tomorrow, that would not make things better for black communities that have been benignly neglected for generations. Right. Generations. While over those generations, you've had now 3 black mayors. But, okay.
And a black
Sure.
Cook County president.
And on and on and
a
on.
state's
Right.
attorney. We know the list.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
The fight over crumbs is misleading because half of nothing is still nothing. They've got nothing. And by the way, that's the way they characterize them. The black community. Cam Buckner is another self-appointed spokesman and shakedown artist on behalf of the black community. Maybe somebody would ask the black community what they think of Cam Buckner. Well, obviously they register what they think of him by the couple of percentage points he got running for mayor. The true fight at the moment is housing, says Cam Buckner. The influx of new arrivals entering Chicago has not and will not break us. That doesn't seem what BLM Brandon is experiencing, but okay. But what it has done is revealed to us what is already broken. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In a country with 43 million people living below the poverty line, we can't keep pretending the poor and outhouse people don't exist. No, bring them all to Chicago. Cam Buckner and Flager have a solution. So here he is. I realize this is bold and unprecedented. You give us what we need, Biden, or we tell you to take your DNC and shove it. We must act with that in mind, but our situation is unprecedented. We must act with that in mind. I'm excited about the DNC. I'm voting for Joe Biden. I believe the future of our democracy depends on it. I'm even running to be a convention delegate. And then more identitarian pap and blah, 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 blah,
How does
blah.
it end?
The federal government must be implored to shake itself out of stasis. The DNC has a special obligation to leave cities better than it found them. It does. Parts of my district stand to benefit greatly from the convention, but if the federal government continues to do nothing on this current issue and the broader housing issue that precipitated, then our entire city and state stand to lose more. So give us the money or take a walk. State Representative Cam Buckner. What say you? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636-DA, turnkey.pro text line. I just like to sit on the sidelines and watch.
Oh, yeah. This is a good game. Who's going to win?
Ron, Southside.
Yo, hey, Danny, well, I'll tell you who will win. And first of all, that guy's an idiot, man. When I said Brandon Johnson was the last person I would vote for, but that's because I hadn't heard much about this piece of garbage. Real quick. But he means nothing to Pritzker, Amy. Pritzker called Speaker Welch, and say, look here, get this clown in line. See, so this is just game, as they say. Okay, so no, and they're not going to get any money. There's no money for these shakeout artists. So the game is over, Amy. I'm letting you know ahead of time. Prince is already on the phone and say, get these clowns lined up. You all have a good day.
Thanks for the call, Ron. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the 5th floor, BLM Brandon and the city council, at least the eco-supremacist contingent on the city council, which I'm sure would include the keffiyeh-wearing Byron Sigcho Lopez.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not Middle Eastern. Okay.
They have introduced and are moving an ordinance that would require new buildings and homes in Chicago to use electric over natural gas. This is you're seeing at the federal level. Biden's latest anti-energy independence gambit is to move to ban LNG, liquefied natural gas. Now you have this, again, mirroring what is happening there on the left coast with Governor Patrick Bateman and all of those new Marxists. So, of course, we're going to mirror that in Chicago. So the gas stove. We may not be able to keep you safe from violent crime, but we can keep you safe from natural gas.
Why are they even worried about that? That's like my state rep, Ann Williams, worried about the rat hole being gone because somebody put plaster in it over the weekend. It's like, why do you give a crap about that? Who cares? People are getting murdered. We have migrants crawling all over this place, going through our alley, going through the garbage. It's so weird. And they care about that.
Well, it's because when you're uninterested in the big things that you can't address, you try to distract people's attention with the little things.
Yeah, like that's a tourist attraction now. Come visit Chicago because we have an impression of a rat hole and a cement sidewalk. By the way, this electric, I know you don't cook, but if you did cook, Dan, the electric stove experience is awful. You need the gas.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
At Insurance Concierge, our family-operated agency provides in-person assistance with all your insurance needs. Auto, home, life, health, financial, and Medicare planning. As independent agents, we represent multiple insurance companies, providing unbiased plan reviews at no cost to you. Whether you are new to Medicare or currently enrolled in a plan, experienced agents will assist you in navigating your options, answering your questions, and finding a plan to fit your specific health and prescription needs. Medicare is our focus all year long, so we will be available when you have questions. You can reach us at 815-714-0909. Insurance Concierge agents are also available to assist you with auto, home, life, health, and financial planning. Let our experienced family of insurance concierge agents assist you with your insurance needs. We treat you as part of our own family. Our office is located in the Ovation Center in Romeoville. Call 815-714-0909 to schedule a no-cost, no-obligation appointment. That number again is 815-714-0909.
Guys, it's a new year, and Low T Center can help make it a great one. If you've been feeling tired, grumpy, have noticed lack of motivation and drive, have weight gain or loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone levels. Trust my friends at Low T Center. It's where I get my levels checked the past 8 years. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. It's just a simple blood test, and with their on-site lab, you get your results back in about 25 minutes. Low T Center is not your typical doctor's office where you have a long wait. It's concierge medicine exclusively for men. They have affordable and convenient options for treatment, including physician-monitored self-inject treatments that ship directly to you each month, so there's no need to drive to the center for weekly visits. And right now, Low T Center is only $25 to get your T-level tested. So make your health and quality of life a priority and make it a great year. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
This is Seth Liebson of 960thepatriot.com for townhall.com. Is the United States still a global superpower, or simply any kind of power? Iran has been pushing us around and, with its proxies, continues to launch rockets at U.S. forces. 2 U.S. Navy SEALs were just killed, trying to prevent illegal Iranian arms shipments. A U.S. base in Iraq was just attacked by Iran. Russia invades an ally of ours in Ukraine. Israel, a major ally, was subjected to an unfathomable act of bloodlust terrorism redolent of Caligula. Taiwan is increasingly threatened by China, and our southern border has been obliterated. What Jeane Kirkpatrick said of Jimmy Carter in 1979 can be said again today. Due to the actions and inactions of our president, the U.S. is in a posture of continuous self-abasement and apology. The United States and civilization itself simply cannot go on like this. This November, we must take the kick me sign off our country's back. I'm Seth Liebson.
Publicpolicy.pepperdine.edu.
All right, it's a new year and the opportunity for a fresh start. Sure, you'll set those familiar personal goals, embark on that healthy diet, drink less, start a workout routine. But what about your business goals? Do they match your personal ones? How about spending more time with your family this year? What about increasing your savings for that vacation home? Maybe this is the year you've set out to train the next generation to take over or create the coveted exit strategy. Well, no matter what your business resolutions are, Turnkey is all about helping you to fulfill them. It's time to make your business work for the life that you want. Turnkey will help you turn around any area of complexity to help you meet your goals. From fresh ideas about mitigating taxes or ways to become more efficient and profitable, to making this the year to finally upgrade your technology so your business runs more efficiently. Turnkey will make your business resolutions soar in 2024. Visit Turnkey today to start a conversation. What you do is go to turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro. Listen up. Do you or a family member or friend have an outstanding student loan and don't know where to turn or how much you're required to pay? The rules around student loan forgiveness have never been as complex as they are right now. The wrong decision could cost you and your family tens of thousands of dollars in unnecessary loan payments. Attorney Ray Kaplan at Kaplan Law Firm is here to help you make the right decision. And they recently saved a radio listener over $145,000. Kaplan Law knows the rules, knows the laws, knows the regulations and loopholes inside out. Don't pay another cent until you've consulted with attorney Ray Kaplan. Call today to schedule a phone or in-person consultation. Call Kaplan Law Firm at 312-294-8989. That's 312-294-8989. Or visit financialrelief.com and click on Contact. Financialrelief.com, click on Contact. Kaplan Law Firm, 25 East Washington Street in Chicago.
You cannot live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago to set their legacies in stone. With 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties, a prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Cable news. Noisy, out of touch, on repeat. Tired of all the lookalikes? So are we. Salem News Channel is here to change the game. Streaming 24/7, free on your TV with the greatest collection of conservative voices. Home to Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Like you, we say what's wrong and what's right. Unfiltered and unapologetic. Salem News Channel. We're the answer to the mainstream media. Learn more at snc.tv.
It's a new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if one of your New Year's resolutions was to do more to help others, then we want to let you know that you still have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of children in Latin America and the Caribbean through Food for the Poor. Your donation of just $80 provides food for an entire year for 2 children. That's life-changing. Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Food for the Poor is a faith-based organization that works with partners on the ground to make sure these children are fed. You know, we talk a lot about the root causes of our immigration crisis, and one of those causes is the situation in many of these countries. This is your chance to help take care of others. To make a donation of any amount, just visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. Thanks again for your generosity.
AM 560, The Answer.
Let's take a call real quick here.
Okay.
Patricia in Midlothian, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. One thing I need to correct you, Dan. We're on our 4th black mayor in Chicago. Don't forget about Eugene Sawyer.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Okay, fair enough. Yes.
The other thing is, as a former ER nurse, we had developed disaster drills in case of some catastrophic event where we had resources in place should that occur. I don't see that on a federal and a state level that they have done that before. They opened the door and let all these people in. Now they're crying because they don't have the resources.
Right. I mean, imagine them not planning for the implications of their policy choices. That's shocking,
Such
isn't it?
Democratic way of life.
Thanks for the call, Patricia. Before we break, sort of as a cleansing, palate cleanser before we get to Steve Moore at 7:37.
Yeah.
It's that time again.
It's my time.
Now deep thought. And now deep thoughts.
Okay, there we go. Got to set the bed.
Let me ask you one more question. I'm struck just in your presence. I was watching you on stage, watching the reactions from the crowd, looking you in the eye with your passion that you were displaying and talking about so many issues. And yet,
just make out with her already.
You hear candidates suggesting that a vote for President Biden because of his age is somehow a vote for you, and that is hurled as an insult. It's intended to demonstrate some negative viewpoint towards you. What is your reaction to this thought that with your background in particular, with your career, that there is some thought that you are incapable?
Tears. Well, I think that most women who have risen in their profession, who are leaders in their profession, have had similar experiences. I was the first woman to be elected district attorney. I was the first woman to be elected attorney general of the state of California. And I'm the first woman to be vice president. And I love my job.
And then they made out.
I love you. I love you too.
Laura Coates. Oh my gosh, she was like fighting back tears. She couldn't fawn over her any more than she did.
She did platform one other deep thought.
Oh yes, let me hear.
Since we were talking about this topic.
We should have a bipartisan approach to fixing this problem, which is a long-standing problem.
But what are those solutions?
The solution includes putting resources at the border to do what we can to process people effectively, and putting in place laws that actually allow for a meaningful pathway to citizenship.
Oh yeah, come on. You know what she was just saying there? Come on in. If you're thinking about it, get your friends and family.
The solution to the border is resources to process people into the country and put them on a path to citizenship faster. Oh, my God. Those are your deep thoughts from your VP, and hey, she loves her job. Coming up 7:37, Steve Moore.
But now let's head into the newsroom.
To another man who loves his job, here's Mike Scott.
7:32. A dense fog advisory in place until 10, but rain is now on the way. Russia this morning says a military transport carrying 74, including 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war, about to be swapped, has crashed into a border region near Ukraine. The crash occurred in the Belgorod region. Former President Trump has held off Nikki Haley to win the New Hampshire GOP primary.
Wow, she's doing like a speech like she won. She didn't win, she lost.
Despite the loss, Haley vowed to stay in through South Carolina. In the Democrat race, President Biden won New Hampshire's primary as a write-in candidate. But Minnesota Congressman Dean Phillips, one of the only challengers up against Biden for the Democrat presidential nomination, is pledging to keep his campaign rolling.
Congratulations to President Biden, who absolutely won tonight, but by no means in a way that a strong incumbent president should, but I respect him, he won.
Nevada will caucus next on February 8. U.S. confirms conducting 3 airstrikes in Iraq in retaliation for an attack that injured 4 American servicemen. The strikes were carried out Tuesday against facilities in western Iraq linked to Iranian-backed militias. A 2-year-old boy shot last night in the West Pullman neighborhood in an apparent accident has died. The incident took place around 8:15 last night inside of a home on South LaSalle on the city's far south side. A firearm has been recovered. The Blackhawks take on Seattle tonight. The Bulls getting set to battle the Lakers. Big Ten basketball will find the Northwestern Wildcats playing host to number 11 Illinois at Welsh Ryan tonight. The news, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free, 560theanswer.com/podcast. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020 marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
It's awesome stuff. I just love the product. I am so glad I seen the commercial, went for it, and ordered me some. And then my husband said, "Have you seen that commercial of Balance of Nature?" And I looked at him and I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I think we ought to try it." And I says, "I am." And so I says, "I'll order you some." He loves it. I love it. We won't be without it.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax.
We started our company 10 years ago in an effort to help our fellow Christians experiencing tax issues resolve their matters by taking a simple 3-step approach.
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys that specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results. We're also a small firm who will treat you like family, not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
Proverbs 15:22 says, "Plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed." Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Get a tax refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt now. No fee refund advance offered to eligible clients. Application required. Loans by Republic Bank. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
7:37. Let's get an update on the roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And the Edens right now jamming solid Peterson into the junction 34 in from Lake Cook Road. It's an hour on the inbound Kennedy from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Outbound Kennedy, a mess. It is right now an hour and 19 from downtown outbound to O'Hare. The Ike outbound jamming solid between Independence and First. It's 37 to Manheim, 50 outbound to Route 390. Stevenson on the inbound side. Brake lights right at Harlem Avenue. It's an hour into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast in our QC Kinetics Weather Center. Rain starting in the next few minutes across much of the area. Couple that with areas of dense fog, and we're headed for a high of 40. At 7:39, it's time to call Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. Time to check those updated temperatures. 34 at O'Hare, 35 at Midway, 33 in Aurora, 33 in Morris. Right now, 33 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Yesterday, on the election desk over at Fox News, Charles Payne from Fox Business had enough of all this caterwauling about Trump criticizing Nikki Haley's dress and being, engaging in the ad hominem in the direction of Nikki Haley after he vanquished her in New Hampshire and effectively ended the primary campaign, whether she wants to admit it or not.
He went on quite a rant.
Well, here's what Charles Payne said about that after being put having that question put to him by Bear.
And he talks about how Democrats demean MAGA voters. He talked about it with me today, saying that, it's just strange that they're talking about a group of voters like that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's narcissism. I think you've lived in New York long enough. It's maybe a New York thing. Someone punches you, you punch him back harder. That's the way I grew up in Harlem.
Not if the country's at stake, right?
He won. He became president of the United States with that same personality. I don't think that, listen, I think it's worse with Biden calling MAGA. Biden's anger and vitriol and hatred for MAGA is far more worse than President Trump's individual battles with someone who crosses him. That is something that is really detrimental to this country, that the president of the United States despises half of the United States. President Biden, I said earlier today, about a week ago, I had a segment coming up, so I Googled Biden hates MAGA. Nothing but articles after articles after articles. He has expressed hatred for half of the
writing
country.
those articles?
It doesn't matter. Look
it's
at
not.
him. Because the bottom line is he says it. He has vitriol for them. And so does MSNBC, and so does CNN, and so does the New York Times. They have vitriol for half of the nation. They don't look at them like fellow Americans, and it's unfortunate. They try to paint them as racist. All the things that they do to their fellow Americans who simply want a safe home, a safe community, for their children to have prosperity. They want the same thing, but they demean them all the time. That's why I think Phillips was so intriguing, because he went to a rally to find out for himself. And guess what? Golly, these are some pretty cool people. They're just like us.
Exactly what.
Yeah, here's what Dean Phillips found.
Oh, you guys, I went to a Donald Trump rally a couple nights ago. Never been to one. I had an event across the street. I saw the line of people waiting in the cold for hours. And I thought, what the heck? You know, I'm going to be a leader who actually invites people, doesn't condemn them. Met probably 50 Trump people waiting in line. Every single one of them, thoughtful, hospitable, friendly. All of them so frustrated that they feel nobody's listening to them but Donald Trump. A diverse crowd, people who had never been to a Trump event before. My party is completely delusional right now.
And 1 in 5 Democrats voted for him last night in New Hampshire. He did far better than the polls were predicting for him.
For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, economist, GovZilla author. Steve, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. Good night for Trump. No question about it. It looks like we're bring on the rematch. It looks like, although I still am wondering whether Joe Biden will be the nominee. Incidentally, I was watching Charles Payne last night on Fox when he, really attacked the Biden rhetoric. And on balance, I think he's right. There is a real contempt that the left has for kind of ordinary blue collar Americans who love the country, want the border secure, want better jobs, want to make sure that we're putting the country first. And I know a lot of people don't always agree with what Donald Trump has to say, but his message of making America, what's wrong with making America great again? MAGA, oh my God, these are horrible people. We did this survey that came out just a few days ago. You guys may have seen about we called Us versus Them, where we actually did a compare and contrast between the kind of cultural elite of America, 80% of whom support Biden, versus just the average ordinary American who answers polls. And the difference, it's almost like they live in two different countries. We asked the question, do you think there's too much freedom or too much government control in America? Now, 80% of Americans say, there's too much government control, not too much freedom. Half of these, Biden elite say, oh, no, there's too much freedom in America. They think that the problem in America is there's too much freedom.
Well, the biggest, to your point on that survey that we discussed, the biggest discrepancy, the cultural elite, 80% are doing better, and they have positive things to say about the direction of the country economically. 20% of everybody else.
Right.
I mean, that's the most telling of all.
Yeah, it is. And what it's telling you is, look, actually Biden's policies have worked really well for the people in the very, very top tier of income. The stock market's been doing really well this year. They haven't been really affected. If you're a millionaire or billionaire, inflation doesn't really affect you at all. It's people who do live, paycheck to paycheck, who have to go to the grocery store every week and pump up their gas, and they see gas is 35% more expensive than when Trump was in office. They see grocery prices up 25%, and the inflation rate has come down, but we're still stuck with these higher prices that have caused real hardship. I mean, let me just mention one other one that really sticks out to me. We asked, do you think that we should ban discretionary air travel in the country? So in other words, should we ban a family, in Chicago that wants to get on an American flight and fly to Orlando so they can take their kids to Disney World? 65% of these elites, by the way, these are mostly people who graduated from Ivy League schools, 65% of them say, yes, we should ban discretionary air travel. Now, maybe that's because they have their own private jets and they don't have to fly on commercial flights. But these people are crazy. They're completely out of touch with America and the kind of trials and tribulations that, ordinary blue-collar, the kind of people listening to the show or driving to work are feeling every day.
Well, it's a lot of ordinary white collar too.
White collar too.
If you have the wrong attitude and the wrong mindset, the wrong philosophy. One of the things that you recently wrote about in your Unleash Prosperity newsletter was new banking regulations, and in responses the bank failures from a year ago, and how that will impact, as if interest rates aren't already, the small business owner entrepreneur.
So it is actually kind of a case study in how when the government reacts to a crisis, they almost always do the wrong thing. And of course, the most famous example of that was the government reaction to COVID, where almost everything governments did, from the city of Chicago to the state of Illinois to the federal government, was absolutely the wrong thing to do with COVID. But this is do you guys remember what was it last? I think it was last spring when Silicon Valley Bank failed. Remember that? And oh my God, all the banks are going to fail. And I think there were a couple of others that failed, in part because of the interest rate changes that really affected their books. But so what did the federal government do? Oh my God, banks are failing. So they said we have to require these banks to have more reserves, more capital reserves, so they can withstand, a financial situation. Except the problem was that Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic and the ones that failed were not undercapitalized. That wasn't their problem. They had other problems. They made a lot of bad loans and a lot of bad financial decisions. And so now they want to greatly expand how much money that a bank holds in reserve. Now, for people who are not too familiar with the banking system, what that means is if you have to hold more money in reserve, that means there's less money you can lend out, right? And bank lending is oxygen for the American economy. It's how small businesses get loans. It's how people get loans for their mortgages and things like that. And so what we found is this would completely shrink the amount of loans that are available, which would mean higher interest rates, which would have a very negative effect on the economy. And so they're trying to solve a problem that doesn't really exist, and they're going to make the situation in the economy much worse. That's brilliant people in Washington.
What is President Biden doing? I mean, we're $35 trillion in debt, and he's out there saying that he cut the deficit. Is anybody even in his own party buying that?
Yeah, he's the most fiscally responsible president we've ever had, even though the debt's gone up $6 trillion in his 3 years in office. And can I just say one other thing about that? I just get so infuriated by this. So did you guys catch this? How we got any attention that he put out a press release on Friday of last week saying that he is going to forgive another $5 billion of student loan debt.
Right.
Now, I don't care how people feel. I mean, I think that's crazy, but some people may support it. In fact, there was a poll in New Hampshire of Democratic voters. 80% of Democratic voters support that policy of shaking down the taxpayers to pay for other people's student loans. But whether you support the policy or not, Dan, the Supreme Court has ruled on this, right? And the United States Supreme Court said, you do not have the unilateral authority, Joe Biden, to forgive people's debt. The Congress has also rejected this, so he's just going out and doing it.
Well, he's trying to buy votes.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Can you imagine if Donald Trump did this, just completely thwarted and ignored the Supreme Court and started passing out money to people? They say he's a dictator, he's a tyrant. But I don't hear the press saying that about Joe Biden.
Well, it's funny how precedents work. We've talked about this quite a bit. The left should be a little bit more careful about the precedents they set for lawlessness, and ends justify the means.
Exactly.
President Biden wants to ignore the Supreme Court opinion on student loan forgiveness, and Governor Abbott is down in Texas right now, ignoring for now the Supreme Court lifting the injunction to allow Border Patrol to take down the razor wire that he's erected. His guys are still putting together more razor wire to erect. So, this is what happens when you have the ends justify the means philosophy, and a lot on the left, as per usual, a la with border security, generally speaking, just to use one example, don't have any appreciation for that. It's whatever, by any means necessary for what I want in the moment, with no consideration as to what that unleashes.
So this is, let me just talk for a minute about the issue, that Supreme Court decision on the border. I'm not a constitutional scholar, but it is pretty clear from the Constitution that the federal government has the authority over the border and immigration policy. Now, we may disagree with that, but that basically is what the Constitution says. Now, what that means, because look, I think everybody's angry about what's going on. I think I mentioned last week on your show, I have a couple of liberal siblings who I love who live in the Chicago area, and they were infuriated that the Texas governor is sending the illegal immigrants to the Chicagoland area. And I said, well, you guys have been in favor of the sanctuary city, policy. So what are you complaining about? But my point is, if you want the border to be secure, immigrants coming in every night, then there's only one solution. You have to get rid of Joe Biden, because this crisis will continue to persist. He's been in office for 3 years now, and not only is he not trying to control illegal immigration, he's literally taking they're chopping up the fences so that they can come in. I mean, it's craziness at the border. But you got to get rid of Biden if you want to solve that problem, and that's what the court basically said.
Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal, used to be a Wall Street Journal columnist, still an op-ed writer and economist and author of Govzilla. Steve, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Take care.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name, cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630. Or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Oh, we're going to have a string of rainy days here, and there's a lot of snow that's melting. How's your basement doing? How's your crawl space? If you have any water issues at all, now is the time to call Permaseal. They've been around for 45 years. And did you know that Roy Spencer still works for the company, obviously, but he started it out of his apartment and his F-150 pickup truck, Merca. So Permaseal wants to thank you for your trust and for and wants you to know that they use their own professional employees that respect you in your home. So this January, Permaseal is celebrating this anniversary where you can save 10% off all services or up to 24-month interest-free financing. They do waterproofing, they do crawl space encapsulation, structural repairs, and their new attic insulation service. So call them before January 1st to save 10%. Call now, 800-421-7325. That's 800-421-SEAL, or visit permaseal.net. It's a new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if one of your New Year's resolutions was to do more to help others, then we want to let you know that you still have the opportunity to make a difference in the lives of children in Latin America and the Caribbean through Food for the Poor. Your donation of just $80 provides food for an entire year for 2 children. That's life-changing. Just because the Christmas season is over, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Food for the Poor is a faith-based organization that works with partners on the ground to make sure these children are fed. You know, we talk a lot about the root causes of our immigration crisis, and one of those causes is the situation in many of these countries. This is your chance to help take care of others. To make a donation of any amount, just visit 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. That's 560theanswer.com/foodforthepoor. Thanks again for your generosity.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Be sure to schedule your health assessment with my friends at Low T Center. They offer the convenience of physician-monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments, with an average payment of $150 a month cash pay, including labs and medication. If you don't live near a Low T Center or just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy shipping treatments directly to you. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. That's Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
It's awesome stuff. I just love the product. I am so glad I seen the commercial, went for it, and ordered me some. And then my husband said, "Have you seen that commercial of Balance of Nature?" And I looked at him and I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I think we ought to try it." And I says, "I am." And so I says, "I'll order you some." He loves it. I love it. We won't be without it.
Step into the new year with a new you. Start your journey to better health by calling 1-800-246-8751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and signing up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars, cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
You're smart, you're busy, and don't have time to waste on the mainstream media cycle. Salem News Channel breaks that cycle. Topics that matter from hosts worth watching. Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. Salem News Channel, not like the other guys. Watch anytime on any screen, free 24/7. Find everything you need to know at snc.tv. That's snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
He was with Trump from 16 to 20. Then he went with DeSantis this time around. Now he's going back to Trump. Our former colleague at AM 560, Steve Cortez, explains to us what happened to DeSantis and what he thinks will happen with Trump at 8:08.
Now let's head straight into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A 2-year-old boy shot last night in the West Pullman neighborhood has died. A man suspected of shooting and killing 8 in the Chicago suburbs was related to the victims. WIND Chicago News Time.
Trump wins. Haley vows to keep going. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
When you win Iowa and you win New Hampshire, they've never had a loss. There's never been. So we're not going to be the first, I can tell you.
And former President Trump was not happy after he won the Republican New Hampshire primary. Then Nikki Haley called it a great night for her.
It's time to put the negativity and chaos behind us.
You can't let people get away with bullshit, okay? You can't. You just can't do that.
Now, Haley said this race is far from over with dozens of states left.
The first party to retire its 80-year-old candidate is going to be the party that wins this election.
And that was an 11-point Trump victory margin. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal breaks it down from Nashua, New Hampshire.
62% of unaffiliated voters went for former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. 70% of registered Republicans went with former President Trump, according to the Fox News voter analysis. Just over half of Haley's supporters here voted for President Biden in 2020.
Now, the president won the Democratic primary in New Hampshire, even though he wasn't on the ballot. The party's ignoring that contest, wanting South Carolina to count first next month. But more than 60% of voters wrote the Biden name in. Dean Phillips was on the ballot, got about 20% in New Hampshire, and the congressman tells Fox he'll stay in the Democratic race.
And the truth is that I think Joe Biden is the only person that Donald Trump can beat.
For the 9th time in less than 2 weeks, the The U.S. went on the attack in Yemen, hitting Houthi militant targets to stop more attacks on ships in and around the Red Sea. There was also an American strike in Iraq, hitting other Iran-backed militants.
Iraq now branding these aggressive actions that will lead to irresponsible escalation. U.S. troops in Iraq and Syria have been attacked more than 150 times since the war between Israel and Hamas began.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. A Russian military plane crashed near the border with Ukraine, killing 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war. Russia claims that Ukraine shot the plane down. America's listening to Fox News.
34 degrees, light rain showers beginning to fall. It's 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Foggy conditions causing travel issues in the area, reduced visibility, and a dense fog advisory until about 10 a.m. A 2-year-old boy shot last night in the West Pullman neighborhood in an apparent accident has died. The incident took place around 8:15 last night on South LaSalle Street. A firearm was recovered. Murder charges have been filed against a suburban Chicago man accused of killing his wife and 3 adult daughters in what police describe as a domestic shooting. Police allege 63-year-old Mahir Kasim shot his family members after an argument at their home on Sunday morning.
The defendant replied that there were 4 people shot and, quote, "I'm going to jail."
Scott Clark is with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Prosecutors allege Kasim shot and killed the victims in the home following an argument. Police claim the shooting was the deadliest in that southwest suburb since the unsolved Lane Bryant killings of 5 women in 2008. Police are investigating 2 separate child luring attempts in Round Lake. Authorities say the incidents happened yesterday morning in the 30 block of McGillis Drive. The suspect wearing dark or black hooded sweatshirt and blue jeans. The Blackhawks stay on the road, and they'll take on Seattle tonight. While the Bulls are gearing up for the LA Lakers. Big Ten hoops, Northwestern will take on Illinois at Welsh Ryan. It's 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
DuPont, the chemical giant, is lowering expectations for the year. It's seeing continued weak demand in China and from industrial customers. AT&T says its wireless and fiber businesses continue to grow. It signed up more phone customers with a monthly bill in the latest quarter, topping expectations. Puma shares are slumping after the athletic wear company's quarter was disappointing, though Netflix signed up 13 million subscribers in the quarter, a record. The stock is rallying, contributing to a bump in S&P futures. Apple is planning new fees and restrictions when it allows third-party software downloads outside its App Store. The Wall Street Journal says the changes are in response to European regulators. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola, invested in you.
8:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
This radio station is always on, but sometimes you need more content that you can take with you anywhere. That's why we invented the SalemPodcastNetwork.com. You'll find all the great hosts on this radio station, plus a few more, like Charlie Kirk, Dinesh D'Souza, Trish Regan, Jenna Ellis, and Dennis and Julie. There's literally no end to what we can teach you. It's like radio on demand, and just like radio, it's always on. Go find out what you're missing. Download the app, SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play. Stop, opt out.
Oh, Jake, this new man cave you built is crazy. How big is that TV?
It's 100 inches.
Serious upgrade. How'd you pay for all this?
Easy. I got a home equity line of credit from Figure. I got approved in 5 minutes and funding in just 5 days.
Hold up. You're saying you can get approved for a HELOC from Figure in 5 minutes with funding in just 5 days?
Yup. It's that fast and easy. The application is 100% online with no in-person appraisal. Plus, there's no out-of-pocket costs. Just fast access to
of the cash you need to use however you want. I need a HELOC from Figure. How do I get started?
Just send them a text. Text SERIOUS to 200-300 to get up to $400,000 in a home equity line of credit from Figure. Get approved in 5 minutes and funding in as few as 5 days. Text the word SERIOUS to 200-300 right now. Text SERIOUS to 200-300. SERIOUS to 200-300. Figure Lending LLC, DBA Figure. Equal Opportunity Lender. NMLS 1717824. Terms and conditions apply. Visit Figure.com for more information. For licensing information, go to www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org.
Chronic pain, it can ruin your marriage, bring on depression. It's no way to live. But now there's a non-surgical way to get rid of that hip, back, and joint pain. It's called QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. Did you know that your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue? And QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetic providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over America. People like you and me with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. Folks, this is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. Get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. So fight back against the pain. Take the first step now. Call QC Kinetics. This is the number, 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Springfield area attorneys. 2815 Old Jacksonville Road, Suite 103, Springfield, Illinois, 62704.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. On the Kennedy right now, we're seeing about 70 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. On the Ike, 80 minutes, 390 into the old post office. And right now, on the Stevenson, 70 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Accident inbound Dan Ryan, right shoulder at 87. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Steve Williams.
A dense fog advisory in effect this morning. Clouds and rain mainly early today. Use some caution when traveling today, high 38. Clouds and fog tonight, low 36. Rain and drizzle for tomorrow, the high 39. Clouds on Friday, the high 40. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Fog 34 at O'Hare, 35 Midway. In Romeoville, clouds and 34, and along Chicago's lakefront, 33. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I believe that Republican voters were ready for a new post-Trump chapter of the America First movement. I now believe I was wrong. Those are the words of our former colleague at AM 560, Steve Cortez, in a commentary he wrote over at RealClearPolitics.com, Only Trump Can Save America. And he joins us now for a little bit of postmortem on DeSantis, the candidate he was aligned with for much of the primary campaign, as well as prospective analysis on what Team Trump can do and should do going forward, as we now are in the general election phase of the campaign, whether Nikki Haley wants to admit it or not. Steve, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Thanks for having me.
So let's do a little bit of the post-mortem on DeSantis. We have to do that because I think some of the post-mortem has been both too charitable as well as too critical. So I'm Goldilocks here a little bit. I mean, the too charitable is like this, DeSantis the campaign could have never predicted that Trump would be this target of all these indictments. Well, that's not true. He was indicted once before DeSantis announced, and you could see the other indictments in the offing. So, I mean, so that's not true. But some of the other criticisms that he was some sort of globalist plant and he's not an America first or so on and so forth, and he was just there to be an obstructionist, I also think is untrue. So tell us what the DeSantis campaign and supporters of the campaign, what they conceived the race to be in the beginning, so in the run-up to his spring announcement last year, and what it turned out to be.
Sure. And by the way, let me just preface it by saying that I have nothing negative to say about Governor DeSantis. I think he is by a mile the best governor in America, and I'm very happy for Florida that they get their governor back full time because he's incredible, and the things he's done not just for that state but for the country are remarkable, frankly. As far as the race, here's what I think could have been done differently and much better that would have made a difference. He did not respond to Donald Trump in the late 2022 era. So after the very disappointing midterm elections, right, when DeSantis was the outlier, when he was the really amazing success story on what was otherwise a pretty dismal night, let's be honest, November of 2022, there was an opening there where Trump was vulnerable even among Republican voters. Trump went on attack against DeSantis relentlessly, and DeSantis did not respond. And I think in retrospect, that was a huge mistake. He simply could not allow that kind of negativity to build up day after day with the platform that Trump has, with the resources that he has, without responding. So I think that wounded him critically, politically, going into the primary. And then the second big mistake, I think, and I say this as a media guy, right? I live in the world of earned media, doing what I'm doing right now, talking to you folks, for example. DeSantis really ignored the media, and I think to his peril. Yep. Early in the campaign. He was very, very selective about the interviews he did. He only did very friendly interviews in the very early days, and not frequently. I think that was, again, a massive mistake. I think you've got to blanket the airways. So
we were both critical of DeSantis for going into hiding and allowing really Ramaswamy to seize that opening to be on the cable, to be combative on the antagonistic cable news channels. But I mean, those two mistakes you're describing, one right after the midterms and then one as he got into the campaign, they speak to a conception of the race. And that's what I'm trying to get to. Like, what did Team DeSantis think the race was going to be and their angle into it to be successful?
We believed, and I should speak for myself because I don't know that everyone on the team believed this, but I believed that electability was going to be a much bigger issue than it turned out to be and I was wrong, quite frankly, on this, because I believed that when Republican voters looked at the race, they would say, in Ron DeSantis, we get Trump's policies, but without some of the baggage that comes with Donald Trump, without some of the distractions that come with a Trump candidacy. Once the indictments came down, the reaction of Republican voters, which is very understandable, right? Because I think these indictments are absolute shams. I mean, they are persecutions of Donald Trump. So Republican voters rallied to Trump in a way with a fervor that I did not anticipate. And I think that completely diffused the electability argument because there was such a rally around Trump effect.
So when did you find out it was over? Did DeSantis have a Zoom conference with all you guys? Did you get an email? What was it like?
Well, he was super packed.
Right. So, and also I left the team months ago, actually. So, I mean, I left in September. Now, I was quiet about it, which was my agreement with the DeSantis team. I said that I would not be public until the Iowa caucus. And so I, kept my word. I did not talk about the race. So people who follow my work closely will know on social media, my articles, my interviews. From roughly September until Iowa, I went quiet about this race. I talked a lot about politics, but just, issues and other things. So for me, I knew it was over in the summer, in July and August. And the reason I said that is we were spending an enormous amount of money, tens of millions of dollars a month. The candidate governor was campaigning incredibly hard. He had just a tremendous work ethic, like I've never seen in another politician campaigning. And yet, our poll numbers were going down. So that tells me, look, when you're active as can be campaigning, when you're spending a ton of money, and I think mostly spending it smartly, and yet your numbers are going down, well, that tells me it's not workable, right? It's not a winnable race. And so I determined that in the summer, advised Governor DeSantis to get out a very long time ago. Obviously didn't take my advice, at that time, but I wanted to try to do everything I could to preserve his political viability going forward, because he's 45 years old. He's a very young man with incredible talent. Again, I think he's by far the best governor in America. So to me, the sooner he got out of an unwinnable race, the better for him and for his future. So I wish he'd done it earlier, but I'm glad that he has done it now, and I think it's the right thing to do.
So both you and DeSantis are being treated in some circles as, a faulties of trachis. I mean, you're being treated as consorting with the enemy here. And I wonder, from your own experience trying to make some sort of rapprochement with Trump world, how that's going for you, number one, but then what that tells you about the possibility for DeSantis going forward when, he's got 2 years remaining on his, he'll be 26. So, yeah, basically 2 years remaining on his last term as governor, and then it's an open question what he does after that. So for both of you.
Yeah. And by the way, it's too bad that DeSantis is term limited, because I think it'd be amazing if he could continue as governor. But look, I think for the broader question first, outside of me, I think it's incredibly important for Republicans to unify. And there's a lot of toxicity out there. There is. Our politics has become so tribal and so toxic in a lot of ways that it's unfortunate that even among people who agree on practically every issue, if they disagree on the candidate, right, to represent those issues, there's a super high degree then of stress and antagonism, which I think is unfortunate. And I think, anybody listen, if you want to see some of it, go to my social media and go to the comments, right? And a lot of MAGA world, even though I've come back to supporting President Trump very publicly, a lot of MAGA world still hates me and believes that I'm some sort of traitor. I mean, that's, of course, ridiculous, right? And it's also not helpful, because it's just not practical in terms of winning going forward. And look, what I'm going to do is do everything I can to make sure that President Trump, who is the nominee, in my view, that he wins in November, because we are losing our country with amazing speed. The velocity of what's going on just at the border, just take that massive issue alone, is beyond anything I think any of us could have feared when Joe Biden took office. I thought things would be bad, Dan. I didn't know they'd be this bad, honestly, and this quickly. So winning is an absolute imperative. I'll do everything I can from the outside. Whether or not President Trump wants me and his inner team again, I have no idea. I've not talked to him yet. I hope I do get a chance to speak with him. I have spoken with his senior leadership team. They're thrilled that I'm back on board. They were very magnanimous about it and just said, hey, we missed you. Welcome back. Now, not everybody's taking that tact, unfortunately, although I think they should.
Yeah, but never did I think in a time like last night, President Trump had his former rivals on stage with him. So that shows, a sign of maturity that he's willing to let bygones be bygones.
Yes, and I think, listen, we're going to need that kind of discipline and that kind of focus going forward. I've also thought his Iowa victory speech was incredibly magnanimous. I mean, it really was. I mean, he showed, I think, as you said, a political maturity there that was significant and needed, and we're going to have to do that going forward. And
so what happens with DeSantis? So does DeSantis, do you know if DeSantis is making overtures or Trump's senior people are making overtures? Is there going to be, a beer summit between the two?
Right. I don't know, but I hope so. And I've not gotten to spoke to Governor DeSantis either since he dropped out of the race. But again, I'm trying to, and I hope that I get to speak to him soon. And I will certainly encourage him to do that, because I think it's the right thing to do for the country. And I think it would also be politically helpful for him and help him rebuild his brand and his reputation among some of the primary voters who, again, I think unfairly castigated him. But regardless, his negatives did rise dramatically, right? Trump's hits on him largely worked. I mean, those blows landed. Now, I think he can fix that. He's a young man, and he's got an incredibly important job and a platform to fix it. But I think part of that will be campaigning vigorously for President Trump. So I hope and believe that it won't just be that one line in his exit speech, that one line of "I endorse him." I hope it'll be much more active than that in terms of campaigning for President Trump, because I think he can be really, really powerful, and particularly with young people, by the way. He's a young man, and one thing we saw in Republican primaries is we saw this in our polling and then the actual voting in Iowa. He did very well among young voters. So I think he's a key representative for the Trump world to younger folks out there and can reach them.
What if you were back in Trump world formally and you had a chance to talk to the former president, what would you tell him he should be doing now at this stage where it's not formal, he's not formally the nominee, but he's all but formally the nominee, and he needs to look prospectively at the next 10 months, both in terms of the legal and political and the combination of the two challenges?
Right. Dan, I think the biggest risk to Trump, to his candidacy, to Republicans generally, is abortion on the ballot this November. Look, we've seen in a number of referendums, even in incredibly conservative states like Ohio and Kansas, that the electorate is just not as pro-life as I would like them to be. That's just the reality after 50 years of legal abortion in this country and a culture of abortion. So what I would advise President Trump to do, and I think he's leaning this way, but I would advise him to go the Federalist route and just say, listen, we argued for decades correctly that Roe v. Wade was bad law and that this decision should reside in the states and that it should not be a federal issue. If he does that, I think he effectively diffuses that issue for the presidential race and for anybody, frankly, running for federal office. And if we say this is going to be up to the states, and Illinois is going to end up, unfortunately, in a very different place than Alabama is going to end up. And while we always regret the loss of any innocent human life, of course, it's anathema to us. I also recognize that we have a system of federalism that's supposed to work. So if I could advise President Trump to go that route, that is by far, to me, the biggest risk, the biggest impediment to a Trump win in November is the abortion issue.
He is Steve Cortes, former DeSantis super PAC consultant and, of course, former consultant and advocate for President Trump as well, a Latino Voters Coalition director, in fact, for Trump in 16 and 20, and hopefully be a material participant in 24 as well. Steve Cortes, he writes at stevecortes.substack. Steve, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. A storm is on the horizon. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for storms and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000, 630-834-6000, or charlesequipment.com.
All right. When you give your body the best possible fuel, you have more energy, you're stronger, you think more quickly. And that's why I take Balance of Nature. 31 different whole fruits and vegetables in those bad boys. 3 fruit capsules, 3 vegetable capsules, and voila. I feel good that I'm doing something for myself. In fact, I'm taking it right now. I crack my capsules over into warm water, and voila, I couldn't live without it. I love my Balance of Nature, and you will too, so give it a try. The number to call is 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or online at balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Be sure to schedule your health assessment with my friends at Low T Center. They offer the convenience of physician-monitored, self-inject, at-home testosterone treatments with an average payment of $150 a month cash pay, including labs and medication. If you don't live near a Low T Center, just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy shipping treatments directly to you. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. That's Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Brothers and sisters in Christ, as we navigate the challenges of our time, it's crucial to stand firm in our faith and uphold the values that have shaped our nation. The Bible teaches us the importance of faith, family, and freedom. In Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6, we're reminded to trust in the Lord with all our hearts and to lean not on our own understanding. AMAC, like us, values faith as a guiding principle in our lives and in the decisions that shape our nation. As Christians, we cherish the freedom to worship, to live our lives in accordance with our faith. AMAC advocates for policies that safeguard our religious liberties, ensuring that future generations can continue to exercise their faith without fear. Join us in this mission to preserve the biblical values that make our nation strong. Visit amac.us/faith and let your voice be heard. That's amac.us/faith.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, one of those governors that might be interested in replacing a Joe Biden were that eventuality to come to pass, which I don't think it will, but we talked a lot about Gavin Newsom. We talked a lot about Pritzker, but don't forget the Eva Peron of East Lansing.
Gretchen Whitmer.
And get ready for this.
I know. Is this about a potato or something?
Gretchen Whitmer, if you liked Governor Quinn and Squeezy the Pension Python.
Oh, that's right. Squeezy.
You ain't seen nothing yet with Gretchen Whitmer and Professor Potato.
This is awesome.
She's talking to a digital potato in this marketing piece that the brainchild of Whitmer World up there in Lansing. Gretchen Whitmer and Professor Potato previewing a community college plan that she will be unveiling when she offers the State of the State address.
Hey, Governor Whitmer, how's it going?
Hi, Professor Potato. I wanted to share some Yukon Gold news with you, my best spud.
What is it?
We both agree that every Michigander deserves an opportunity to go to college without frying their bank account.
Absolutely. A higher education helps you learn more skills, pursue your passions, and even plant your roots right here in Michigan.
But for too many, college is financially out of reach. That's why I'm so excited to announce an appealing plan.
Oh, I know what you're planning. This year, we will work together to make the first 2 years of community college tuition-free for every high school graduate.
That's right, Professor. Michiganders will save an average of $4,000 as they earn their associate's degree, setting them up to earn a bachelor's or start working and earn a bigger paycheck.
Hey, that isn't small potatoes. That's a big deal.
To learn more, make sure you tune in for my State of the State address on January 24th at 7 p.m.
I'll be there for sure. Later, Tater.
Later, Tater.
I mean, who in the world thought that that was a good idea? And that potato is so creepy looking. This is why we go to University of Iowa.
The politicians like the Eva Peron of East Lansing really respect you, and they think you're smart. You go on believing that.
Are you going to tweet that out? Because I don't want to.
It's. I mean,
oh my God, it's moronic. I mean, it's creepy. First of all, it's not funny at all. It's creepy, and she's like being condescending. She's being the Eva Peron of East Lansing.
To tweet that out, well, to produce it, but then to be a party after the fact to tweeting that out is to commit a hostile act against other people.
Okay. It's on her Twitter account, so. Oh, boy. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Speaking of the Hawkeye State, Michael Cassidy is a former Republican candidate for the Mississippi House of Representatives and Navy pilot. He was the gentleman arrested after vandalizing a satanic display inside the Iowa Capitol building in Des Moines. We're going to talk to him about that at 8:38.
But first, we're going to stop by that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
It's 8:30 on AM 560. The Answer, still a dense fog advisory for the area, 35 degrees. Chinese state media say 39 are dead so far after a massive fire broke out in the Jiangxi province. Search and rescue operations are underway. It all comes after a massive 7.1 earthquake struck China on Tuesday. Sweden's bid to join NATO has just cleared its next to last hurdle after being held up for almost 2 years. Turkey's parliament has given its go-ahead to let the Nordic country into the alliance. President Joe Biden will be the keynote speaker at the UAW political convention today as he works to try and sway blue-collar workers his way in critical auto swing states like Michigan and Wisconsin. Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley vowing to keep fighting in spite of a campaign that's failing to find footing. She points to Super Tuesday in states like Texas with open primaries as a path forward.
And now we're the last one standing next to Donald Trump. And today we got close to half of the vote. We still have a ways to go, but we keep moving up.
Trump beat Nikki Haley soundly in the New Hampshire primary yesterday.
And just a little note to Nikki, she's not going to win. She's not going to win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by those people in 15 minutes.
Nevada is next, but some of South Carolina's most prominent Republicans are already endorsing Donald Trump instead of Nikki Haley in her home state. A 2-year-old boy shot last night in the West Pullman neighborhood died. The incident took place around 8:15 at a home on South LaSalle. A firearm has been discovered. A man suspected of shooting and killing 8 in Joliet over the weekend was related to most of the victims. Authorities said Tuesday the 23-year-old fatally shot himself after a confrontation with law enforcement in Texas.
Yeah, we can't get inside his head. We just don't have any clue as to why he did what he did.
Joliet police and the Will County Sheriff's Office say investigators believe Romeo Nance shot 7 people, most of whom were relatives, at 2 homes he was familiar with in Joliet, before then randomly shooting 2 men at other locations. U.S. Marshals found Nance as he was making a run for the Mexican border on Monday night. Again, the motive in the killings remains unclear. The Bulls take on Seattle, or the Blackhawks take on Seattle tonight. The Bulls gearing up for the Lakers, and in Big Ten hoops, it's Northwestern and the Fighting Illini at Welsh Ryan. The news, a service of Discover. Did you know Discover wants everyone to feel special? That's why with your Discover card, you have access to 24/7 customer service, as well as $0 fraud liability, which means you're never held responsible for unauthorized purchases. And you can learn more at discover.com/credit card. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees America waking up.
These past several months have seen Harvard and higher education face a series of sustained and unprecedented challenges. Because the American people are waking up to the cesspools that our universities are. I've called them moral and intellectual cesspools for decades, and now a lot of Americans agree.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Gold just hit a new all-time high, and it could go much higher as people realize just how delicate our economy is. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I've spoken to many Americans who are deeply concerned about losing everything and not being able to do anything about it. This is why I'm thankful for physical gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group. Because unlike digital and paper assets, gold is a true safe haven that all Americans should consider for their financial security. To find out more, text the word HEDGE to 989898. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. This is your chance to secure your IRA or 401k against the unpredictable nature of our economy. Text HEDGE to the number 989898 now to request your free info kit on gold IRAs.
Well, I've been taking it for some time. We saw the ad, and we thought we would give it a try. And I noticed after the first month, we just felt better. I told my doctor, too, and she said, this sounds like a really good product for you to be taking. We plan to take it for life.
I ran this by my doctor. I always run it by her, everything I take, and I told her I've been taking this for a while. Is this okay to take? She goes, oh, this is wonderful for you to take. Keep taking it. She goes, I approve this. This is very good. So she said, yes. She said, this is one thing you can take that's very good. I'm not going to stop taking Balance of Nature.
Step into the new year with a new you. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 35% off your first order, plus a free fiber and spice supplement. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive holiday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
It's 8:37. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. On the inbound Edens, we're at 34 Lake Cook Road into the junction. The Kennedy, an hour 20 from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. Just heavy and slow traffic. And an hour back outbound to the big airport. Ike inbound, an hour 17 from 390 into the old post office. The outbound side, 1 hour from the old post office back out to 390. Stevenson right now at 90 minutes from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Traveling on the Dan Ryan this morning, a very heavy 45 from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go traffic on DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbound between the Stevenson and Monroe. On the Veterans Toll Road, jam up between I-55 and the Reagan. Stop and go traffic on Route 53 northbound between the Adams and Kirchhoff. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. In our QC Kinetics Weather Center, rain developing. Areas of dense fog will begin to melt away and a high near 40. Low clouds and fog overnight, low of 36. Currently 35 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Interesting choices public officials make when confronted about issues related to religious freedom, particularly these days when Christianity is seen as a legitimate target. You know, conservative Catholics are monitored by the FBI, or at least there's a desire to do so, as we know. This was the opening invocation before a Washoe County, Nevada commission meeting. So Washoe County, Nevada is Reno. You know how before governmental meetings, you'll have an invocation, and oftentimes they'll do a rotation. You'll have a priest, a rabbi, imam, so forth. Yeah. Well, this go around, it was the Satanists' turn.
Oh, no.
Take a listen.
Thank you for letting us here. My name is Jason. I am an organizer and founder of Reno Satanic, and I am here to give the invocation today. Let us begin. In nomine de nostris Satanis Luciferi Excelsi, in the name of the eternal rebel against tyrannical authority. May we seize this glorious day and its enchanting nights to celebrate the wonders of the natural world, as we are all part of its boundless mysteries. In the spirit of the unconquerable sun, the bringer of light and knowledge, we say, Shemham Farash, hail Satan.
Okay. Madam Clerk, we will now move to public comment.
Well, public comments. Gosh, I could only imagine what some of the public comments were. You watch this invocation, you see some senior citizens in the audience, a smattering that would attend a county commission meeting, horrified and bewildered as to what's going on and what this guy is saying, not surprisingly.
And who's the D-bag who yells, Satan? Like, oh, my God. He had one supporter there.
I believe Governor Pritzker was auditing that commission meeting, thinking about maybe we should bring this guy from the Satanic Temple over to the Illinois General Assembly. They'd be welcome here. So, sure. Yeah. I think he performed at the World Economic Forum in Davos last week as well. A lot of demand for representatives of the Satanic Temple, which, by the way, is recognized by the IRS, 501c3 status as a religion. And that brings us to our next guest. What do we do about individuals like this in the public square in terms of access? Michael Cassidy, you may remember the name, before Christmas, there was a Satanic Temple display in the Capitol building in Iowa, in Des Moines. And he couldn't abide that, so he took it down and was arrested for doing so. Michael Cassidy is a former Republican candidate for the Mississippi House of Representatives. He's a former Navy pilot as well. And he was arrested after, again, taking down that satanic display inside the Capitol in the Capitol building in Des Moines, Iowa. Also, he, subsequent to the arrest and the publicity, he has a legal defense fund at Give, Send, Go that has raised some $85,000 so far to help him fight the charges that that have been leveled against him. Michael Cassidy, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
So, why did you feel the need to not let the Satanic Temple display stand?
So I saw the display, a few days before I went up to Iowa, and I thought it was a joke. Kind of like I think a lot of Christians have a response to just like that prayer over in Nevada, that we look at it and it's a joke. Like it's not a real thing. Like this isn't actually happening in our country, in the United States of America, but it is. And so I bought a plane ticket, went up to Iowa, wanted to, hopefully the thing was going to be gone by the time I got up there, but I got there and was still there. There weren't any cops around, there weren't any Satanists around, no protesters, and the thing's like 6-7 feet tall, and it was evil. And so I didn't want to let that thing stand. I thought about the conversation that I'd have the day that I met Jesus, and thought, I don't want that conversation to go, hey, I was too scared to be a Christian in that moment. So, I took it down. And
so what did you do? Did you use a bat or anything, or just your hands? What did you do?
Yeah, so I saw some of the memes about, like taking a sword and hacking the thing off. I didn't bring a sword with me. No, I took the head off. It was this, cheap fabric and like plastic and glass goat head. I ripped it up. I pushed the statue over, and that was pretty much it. There really wasn't all that much to it.
And then you were subsequently arrested by Des Moines police, right?
Well, I went and I turned myself in.
You turned yourself in.
Security. Yeah. There's still nobody there. It was kind of, there wasn't anybody there other than one, I think, Catholic man who was praying in Latin. And so, I went to security checkpoints, turned myself in,
they didn't really know what to do. So they called the state troopers over, and they kept me there at the Capitol for about 30 minutes. But no, then they let me go. I never got arrested. They just gave me a citation, like you'd get for a speeding ticket or something like that. So I don't have a mug shot or anything like that.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, but don't you have to appear in court?
So as of yesterday, they still they've been. I'm not familiar with how long legal processes go. They still have not filed the citation. So we don't have even a tentative court date. If it gets to a court date, we're expecting more information this week about the matter. But as of right now, the states, they're taking their time.
And have you or has your attorney heard from the Satanic Temple representatives of?
There's been, people associated with them have certainly had their share of hate mail and threats and things of that nature. I'm not sure if what exactly they've filed with the state, or if they've had separate conversations with my attorneys, but they're not, they're not the nicest people. I'll put it that way. They're literal Satanists. Some of them.
Well, yeah, right. I got that, but yeah.
Did they want you to pay for any damages done?
Or file civil action against you.
We have not received a civil action in the matter. Now that may change. That's one of the things that I think is going to be, from what I understand from the lawyers. Again, I'm not a lawyer. Is that a civil suit would be after the criminal case gets resolved.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why couldn't you control yourself? I know this sounds very pedestrian, but they have a right to free speech. I don't like it either, but they are American citizens. So what? I know you said that Jesus was calling you to go, or just walk us through that again.
I wouldn't say that I was perfectly in control.
Okay.
That there is no an example that I gave that perhaps I'll give now too. That if there were some fake religion, like the IRS is not the arbiter of what a true search for God, for religion is, and if there were a IRS-derived religion that worshipped Osama bin Laden, and they had put a statue to Osama bin Laden and the Twin Towers inside a state capitol, I think that we would hope that our civil magistrates, that the legislature, that the governor, that they would have the subjective sense to understand we shouldn't put statues to Osama bin Laden inside a state capitol. We shouldn't have public displays that, give glory to that. Same thing with satanic icons, that our leaders are supposed to have the subjective understanding to know that a statue of the devil is wrong. And one of the pieces of mail that I got, or a Facebook message I got from an Iowa father that evening or the next day, he was mad at me because he wanted to take his children up to the state capitol and show them that statue of the devil. And so that thing just being there, it has its own evil influence on kids. And that's something that, we have to be able to, our leaders have to be able to stand up and say, no, we're not going to tolerate that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I agree from a substantive point of view, but from a legal point of view, nobody except them and their sympathizers, nobody liked the Ku Klux Klan marching through Skokie back in the day. But it's your public right to protest and seek redress, lodge grievances, seek redress from your government. On public property, you certainly, you're a Navy pilot, you're a smart guy, you understand that you have access to public property in an equal way such that there's no government favoritism to one particular faith versus another, as noxious as the faith of the Satanists might be. And so I mean, the flip side is to number one, you have case law that I think goes against what you did, Supreme Court case law, and a proper understanding of the First Amendment, even though I'm sympathetic to your viewpoint on the matter. And number two, the flip side is when you see something that obnoxious, that hate-filled, that evil, like the Klan marching through Skokie, it's also an opportunity to teach young people about the foundations of a free society and about what's right and wrong, and that we can't rely on the government to tell us what's right and wrong. We have to be able to discern it for ourselves, be able to articulate it, and do so freely in a pluralistic society where people are going to disagree. I mean, there's that, aspect of it too that's fundamental.
On every military base, at least every Navy base, they built a chapel. Every day when we're on the ship, we have a daily prayer, nightly prayer, excuse me. The idea that a government can have absolutely zero, just closes its eyes and gives sanction to whatever calls itself religion, that idea is brand new in the thousands of years of Western jurisprudence, and that that there is a massive difference between having a national religion where everybody adheres to a particular denomination of religion. There's a massive difference between that, which is what our founders wanted, and the idea that our leaders would be guided by Christian values, which is precisely what was the intent of the founders of our country. And so they would never, I don't think anybody could make an argument that George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and John Adams and James Madison and Benjamin Franklin would have said, you know what, it's a blessing of liberty to put satanic altars inside government buildings. Do you think that they would think that that's what the First Amendment was about?
Yeah, actually, unfortunately, I think that they would, and I think that the interpretations, the case law on this is pretty clear. And yeah, there are time, place, manner restrictions, but yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you, as you know, in terms of the philosophy and the perspective and the evil of this display and the wrong-headedness, pun intended, of these Satanists. But, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. These are obnoxious people is why we have the restraints on government we have, because if you start being the arbiter of what is obnoxious and what is not, then you're ceding that sovereignty to the government, and that's even more dangerous than a satanic display inside the Capitol in Des Moines, in my view. But I appreciate your coming on the show. I appreciate your perspective and your service to the country. On top of that, Michael Cassidy, former Republican candidate for the Mississippi House of Representatives, Navy pilot, who was the individual at the center of that satanic display controversy in Des Moines that you heard about before Christmas. Thanks for your time, Michael Cassidy. And again, he's got a Give, Send, Go page up if you want to support his legal defense to the extent he needs to mount one. We'll see, I guess. Michael Cassidy, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Y'all have a good morning up there.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
We live in a high-tech world, yet nature is so complex that it's impossible for humans to even come close to duplicating it with all the technology in the world. Witness the spectacular things we see in nature and how they should inform one's faith in the latest book by Jeff Tischler, High Tech versus the Highest Tech. This 78-page paperback book is a must-read, packed with fascinating facts and colorful illustrations, laying out undeniable evidence for intelligent design and an all-powerful creator. And High Tech versus the Highest Tech is written in a way that all age groups can understand and enjoy. Get the book High Tech versus the Highest Tech by Jeff Tischler, offered through Milk and Honey Ministries for just $9.95, plus shipping and handling, with 100% of the proceeds going to missions. And for a limited time, $1 from each book sold goes directly to Food for the Poor. Order your copy today. Call toll-free 1-800-733-9262. Also available from Google Books or your favorite online bookseller. Special rates available for schools, churches, and mission outreach.
All right, true story. I met a woman who was wincing in pain and her left knee was swollen. And I said, what's going on there? And she said, well, I had knee replacement surgery in July. That was months ago. So if you have pain in your joints, in your knees, in your back, in your hip, and your elbows, you should consider QC Kinetics before going under the knife. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative, non-surgical pain relief. Do you know your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue? And QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. You don't have to take vacation time for surgery. Folks, the future of pain treatment has arrived. Hundreds of board-certified QC Kinetic providers have treated tens of thousands of satisfied patients all over this country. People with back pain, hip pain, any pain associated with arthritis or an injury. Folks, this is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again. So get your life back. And listen, it's non-surgical. So if this is the year you've decided to fight back against the pain, then take the first step. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Get it on the calendar. Come on. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Imagine what your future looks like. Is the picture a little blurry? Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Alpha Wealth Group. When we look ahead, we're visualizing where we want to be, and for retirement, that can be hard without a written financial plan. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group can help you bring your retirement picture into focus. For decades, Tom has been crafting customized financial strategies. His goal is to help you protect your savings, grow your wealth, and create an income strategy you cannot outlive. If you're nearing or already in retirement, it's time to get your plan on paper. So bring your readers and let's take a look at it closely. Call Tom at 630-934-1855 and schedule a complimentary retirement consultation. There is no cost. There is no obligation. This is a chance to get a clearer view of your retirement. The number again is 630-934-1855 or visit alphawealthgroup.com and listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Have you saved enough? What are you going to do with Social Security? What will your taxes look like in retirement? Scott Tucker believes retirement planning should be easy, and you should be able to get all the information you need in one place. That's why Scott created the Retirement Decoded Toolkit, a comprehensive resource for your retirement. In it, you'll find a copy of his latest book, Escape Illinois: Should I Stay or Should I Go? This book will provide insight on taxes, Social Security, income, and more. To get your free Retirement Decoded Toolkit, text KIT, K-I-T, to 847-474-3888 or go to retirementdecoded.com. Now, in addition to the book, you'll also receive resources on retirement's most common concerns. Get your Retirement Decoded Toolkit from Scott Tucker right now by texting KIT to 847-474-3888 or go to retirementdecoded.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. A registered investment advisor, this is a paid placement.
AM 560, The Answer.
Modest correction. I kept saying KKK marching through Skokie. Of course, it was the Illinois Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis. Distinction without much of a difference. But, yeah, interesting. Too bad we don't have time for a larger discussion on that. But
we have 4 hours tomorrow.
Well, we'll have to. Maybe we'll pick it up tomorrow then.
All right. Thanks so much to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Heavy fog still closing in on the area. A dense fog advisory is up until 10 a.m. The Bulls and Blackhawks are on the West Coast. We'll follow them. WIND Chicago News Time, 9.
South Carolina is next, a month from today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After former President Trump, who wanted